Costa Rica.
Gain of 4, 3rd down and 6. It's 3rd down. Ty Key's pass intended for Cam Wright is incomplete. Lamadrick Spencer in on the coverage for the Blue Dragons. After the incompletion, 4th down and 6, East Mississippi from its own 29. In punt formation for the Lions, Trace Beard. Back to receive for the Blue Dragons, Trey Richardson. Trey Richardson on the return. Tackled by the Lions, Chauncey Triplett. Tyrell Reed, the ball carrier. Tackled by the Lions, Tyler Woodard. Gain of 7, 2nd down and 3. Tyrell Reed on the carry. Forced out of bounds by the Lions, Bakari McCall. Not before a Blue Dragon. 1st down. Gain of 6, 1st and 10 Blue Dragons from the Lion 46. Brandon Epton Jr. on the carry. Tackled by the Lions, Tyrane Stewart. Gain of 3, 2nd down and 7. Raymond Jordan Jr., the ball carrier. Tackled by the Lions, Tyler Woodard. Not before a Blue Dragon. 1st down. Gain of 15, 1st and 10 Blue Dragons from the 28. Brandon Epton Jr., the ball carrier. Tackled by the Lions, Marcus Ross. No gain on the play, 2nd down and 10. Samari Collier's pass intended for Waymond Jordan Jr. He is incomplete. Bakari McCall in on the coverage for the Lions. After the incompletion, 3rd down and 10 from the 28. Samari Collier on the carry. Tackled by the Lions, DJ Hill Smith. Gain of 6, 4th down and 4. In field goal formation for the Blue Dragons, Nestus Berger.
The last play, the game clock did not run. Please set to 10:55 and start on my whistle. 10:55. Thank you.
In field goal formation for the Blue Dragons, Nestus Berger. A 39-yard field goal is good. With 10:45 remaining in the first quarter, Blue Dragons 3, Lions 0.
Media timeout on the field. Media timeout.
Kicking off for the Blue Dragons, Nestus Berger. Back to receive for the Lions, Jacoby Moore and Marcus Harris. Kick sails through the end zone for a touchback. After the touchback, 1st and 10, East Mississippi from its own 25. Ty Key's pass complete to Marcus Harris. Stopped in the backfield by the Blue Dragons, Jordy Scruggs. Loss of 4, 2nd down and 14.
Jennings!
Down the far side.
Jalen Jennings, the ball carrier. Tackled by the Blue Dragons, J.J. Hamilton Jordan.
Gain of 38 yards.
How you're going to run the football. That's a pretty good average to start with. But I'm going to guess maybe they're going to sprinkle in a few more here at some point in time, especially as you're sitting here, 1 of 4 passing with negative yards.
East Mississippi and Hutch territory for the first time. Another run. Jennings bottled up this time, though. Xavier Stillman, who is a reliable player for Hutch in the interior, he gets the stop for the Blue Dragons. Talking with Drew Dallas this week, Gary, one thing he said was to limit the explosive plays of East Mississippi with the rushing attack, not necessarily just stop the rushing attack altogether.
Yeah, well, and they weren't off to a good start there, although they cut that average in half there with that play.
Keys going to the air. Had a target, but just a little out of reach. He was also well guarded by an all-conference first-teamer, and Malik Mekanico, the redshirt freshman being there, stride for stride, brings up 3rd down.
That was an old-school air raid concept there. You get the fade with the quick out, with the drag coming from the backside. Just a second high throw here for the quarterback, and again, I wonder how much of that is weather, wet ball, nerves. I wouldn't think nerves would play into it at this point in time, but just something not clicking right here, and let's see how they settle in as this thing plays out.
Keys bounce back from Southern Miss. Screen pass. Jennings, the intended target, had the catch, but immediately wrapped up by Hutch. It's Jermaine Hamilton Jordan who comes up with the stop after a pickup of 1. And now if you're East Mississippi, 4-down territory here, Gary.
Depends on your style. You could play the let's punt and try to pin them down there here, or, get off the field, get the ball back at the 50 and regroup. Personally, if it were me, I'd probably punt the football here. I don't know that I want to give it to Hutch, around the 40-yard line if it's me, but we'll see how they do here.
4th down and 8. Keys forced out of the pocket. Throws late, and it's batted down. Keys was also close to the line of scrimmage, so you thought maybe for a second that he would have thrown it while passing the line, but regardless, the end result being a turnover on downs. Good start for the Hutch defense.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the call. Some people live their life, on the attack, and some people play the numbers, and it just depends on where your comfort level is with what you're doing there. But this early in the game, if you can pin Hutch here down inside their 10-yard line, make them go 90 in these conditions to get points. Odds are you're probably going to get the ball back around midfield instead of having to convert a super low percentage 4th and 9 call.
So out comes the Hutch offense after getting 3 on the first drive. Tyrell Reed Jr. kicked off the last drive with a run, and he gets to the outside edge. Swung out of bounds before reaching the 45-yard line. They'll say it's a pickup of 5 or so on the field.
That was a unique play design there. That was a split flow counter, pulled guard and tackle, and split flow the H-back. And I don't know if they were reading it, couldn't tell, but really, really, truly unique play design there. Officially
a gain of 6. Steady dose of Reed once again on this drive. 2 plays, 2 Reed Jr. carries. Second one goes for 5 yards and a first down. Tyrell Reed Jr., one of those Kansas kids coming out of Lawrence High School. Over 700 yards on the ground this season, 12 touchdowns. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. Guy is a load.
Hutch looks very comfortable on the ground here early, which, as they should. They've thrown the ball pretty well all year long.
Collier this time going with an RPO, and he threw it instead of handing it off, and that allowed DQ Levy to come up with his 5th tackle, and that one goes for negative yardage.
Yeah, same result that East Mississippi had on their, bunch, bubble screen. That was just an inside zone with a now screen on the outside. They felt like they were 2-on-1, but if you don't block the point guy, it's, you're sitting here 2nd and 12 and trying to figure out your next move.
After a loss of 3, Samari Collier looking to throw again. Now dancing around the pocket before falling down, and the ball comes free. It squirts away from Hutch. East Mississippi, Hutch, it's still loose. East Mississippi has it. Coming up with a fumble recovery, Ashawn Shepard. The big 6'3", 275-pounder comes up with a first turnover force for the East Mississippi defense.
And all that is a result of your first down RPO. Puts you into a 2nd and 12. Probably changes the comfort of your play call. They go drop back pass. Only their 2nd true drop back pass of the day. Nothing. I think it was just curl flat here down to the short side of the field. East Mississippi covered it well. Quarterback tucks it. Ball comes out. Again, whether it's cold, whether it's wet, the skin affects it different when the weather's cold, and ball comes out.
12th fumble loss this season for Hutch. And you're definitely
replay
right about the fact that the conditions out there allowing that ball to squirt around. There were about 6 different people that had a chance at it. East Mississippi ended up getting it. As you brought up, they were going to go take a look at it just to make sure if it was a fumble, but the officials, white hat, David Fast, comes out and says, let's roll. So East Mississippi, primo opportunity here for the Lions. Keys down the field. It's caught. Touchdown, East Mississippi. It's the Memphis bounce back Cam Wright who comes up with his 9th touchdown of the season.
Impressive throw there. They come out empty 4-by-1. And do we have – nope.
There's a flag on the play, but East Mississippi's celebrating. It's an offsides on Hutch. Okay. Play stands, touchdown Lions.
So they went 4-by-1 empty. Hutch brought everybody, so you were straight 0, no safeties. Quarterback knew it. He knew a guy was going to come free. He bailed out of there. That was a backpedaled 40-yard dime and just a really high-quality throw. You can see the intelligence and the preparation on East Mississippi's side. But a great throw, great play, and that's how you attack a turnover.
Also, too, Hutch really good when it comes to rushing the quarterback. How do you negate a rush? Get the ball out of your hands as early as possible. Ty Keys the nation's leader in passing touchdowns, gets East Mississippi on the board. Good job. East Mississippi capitalizing on a fumble recovery at the 29 of Hutch. Next play, Ty Keys delivers right to Cam Wright's East Mississippi with a great response, and now on top for the first time here this afternoon.
You always have to attack that change in momentum. Not shocking that they went up top there. Not shocking they went empty. I'm guessing they knew when they went empty, Hutch was going to go zero, and that's how they were going to attack it. That was a design and a well-executed. Players doing a great job of executing the design.
Cole Arthur, short kick, returnable. Hutch getting a return, broken tackle, and finally being spun down is Tyrell Reed Jr. There is a penalty marker, though, at the very end of the play. He reached the 34-yard line. Now we just got to see what the dirty laundry's about.
I'm pretty sure it's going to either be hands to the face or a face mask. One of the Hutch guys' helmet flew about 17 yards in the wrong direction.
Let's see what the Whitecap has to say here. And David Fast. Good call, Gary.
Yeah, generally helmets don't do that on their own. That one was a gimme. That was a layup.
You mean they don't bend? They're not supposed to bend like that,
yeah,
twist around?
Sometimes when you're sweaty, they do tend to fly off when there's hard contact, but they generally don't go that far.
Well, that is a gift that Hutch certainly accepts. Blue Dragons getting it near midfield for their third drive. Last time out, suffered from a fumble. And now this drive starts off with a false start. A couple different guys were on the move early. Tristan Smith on the near side as a receiver was the one.
And that's disappointing if you're a Hutch person. You get great field position after, kind of a big change in momentum there, really. You're sitting here at midfield feeling pretty good about yourself, and now you're first and 15 and trying to figure out a way to dig out of this hole.
Well, that's been a problem for Hutch this year, averaging 86 yards and penalties every single game, but the Blue Dragons have been able to overcome those mistakes. Can they overcome a 4-point deficit midway through the first? Quarterback draw for Collier. Dragged down after a solid gain. Alvin Williams, a sophomore from Atlanta, coming up with a hit, getting 5 yards back to bring up second down and 10.
Nothing fancy there. Just trying to get back the yardage you lost. Give yourself a chance to stay within the comfort level of your play calls here and not put yourself into a 3rd and 12. That's where things get a little out of everybody's comfort zone.
Second down and 10 for Collier. Pocket crumbles. He's trying to get away, but he can't. East Mississippi with another sack. The Lions get their second one, this time for Michael Hines, the 6'3 freshman, making a big stop. That's a -8 on the play for Hutch.
Yeah, it came out 2 by 2 there, motion to empty with the tailback. East Mississippi stayed with their base call, just 4 down linemen, and got home. They're doing a pretty good job getting to quarterback here early.
Handoff near side. East Mississippi okay with the end result for Wayman Jordan as he got it to East Mississippi territory inside the 45, but not nearly enough on a 3rd and 18. Got some yardage back. There was a big gaping hole on the near side, but East Mississippi understanding, hey, we can give up 15 yards and still be okay here.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure they weren't misaligned there as well. There was 3 down, but there was only 1 on that side of the football, and they happened to have inside zone called right at it. I'm not so sure that East Mississippi wasn't misaligned there.
Gain of 15.
I think they were trying to shift to a nickel or dime front and go with an odd front, but I don't think it was meant to be that odd.
Fair catch called for and reeled in by Jalen York, the freshman from Starkville High School. East Mississippi taking over The Lions, coached by Buddy Stevens, season number 16. What's incredible is before he arrived at East Mississippi, the Lions never had a single winning season. My how things have changed with Buddy Stevens being the one in charge of the program.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily sitting in the middle of a major metropolitan. You look at some places that have had, sustained and large success. Butler, Hutch, their proximity to the middle of the state helps in recruiting. They both have unbelievable facilities. That also helps in recruiting. East Mississippi has really built their product from the ground up.
Starting this drive at the 12-yard line. And East Mississippi trying to shake Jennings free, but he was wrapped up immediately by Danny Saili from Topeka High in Kansas, 355 pounds. You and I could probably combine our weight and still not reach 355 pounds.
True story. That was a counter out of a 2x2 spread. Motioned the receiver in to block the backside defensive end, pulled guard and tackle, and good job by Hutch there bottling it up.
Timeout East Mississippi. Buddy Stevens didn't like what he saw. 7-3 East Mississippi.
Like it.
East Mississippi 7, Hutch 3. After timeout from the Lions. Second down and 10. Pass deflected. That was dangerous. Winds up being hauled in by Jennings for positive yardage. Had it hung up in the air a little while longer. I think Walter Bob would have came down with the football for a turnover that Hutch would certainly use at this point. Nonetheless, they're going to say no gain to bring up 3rd down and 10.
Yeah, they had a motion to a 3x1, had kind of a version of a bubble screen to one side and slow screen to the other side. They took the slow screen, ball got tipped. This is going to be a big down here for Hutch in the grand scheme of this operation. They need to get off the field here.
Quick snap. Another ball thrown up near side up in the air, and it was well covered by Jamar Mundy. The sophomore from Cincinnati, Ohio, the second teamer in the conference, locking up the intended receiver and Cam Wright. 3 plays and a punt coming for East Mississippi. Exactly what Drew Dallas wants to see at this point.
And this is why I thought East Mississippi should have punted the ball earlier for this example right here. You get them pinned down the 10, you get off the field. Odds are you're going to get the ball about midfield here. Now, East Mississippi benefited from the fumble by the quarterback, and that's how they got their points. But, normally you got to play the numbers, and the numbers say, you punt this football here. And if you can get off the field, you give yourself an opportunity to start around midfield. High percentage that you're going to score points.
Richardson from the 49. They're going to say he called for a fair catch. Wasn't that long ago, wasn't it, in college football when somebody did a fake, oh, yeah, I'm doing fair catch, but no reality, they didn't call it as so, and it wound up going for a punt return for a touchdown. Officials right on top of it right there, though.
That one was trending that direction, too. There was nobody out there. If if they hadn't either caught that, or I'm not so sure that if he didn't fair catch that, he doesn't score there. They were out leveraged there on their coverage.
So a punt of 39 yards to give Hutch great field position again. The Blue Dragons have started at worst at their own 39. A handoff to the far side. And getting positive yardage is Brandon Epton. His high this year coming against Iowa Western. He had 13 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown. Gain of 7 to open up this drive for Hutch.
Good first down call there. That was a counter read. They pulled both linemen. Quarterback was reading the backside end. He got a guy crashing, gave it to a sweep.
Here's a run to the near side. It's Samari Collier. Ball did come out late, but they're going to rule it that he was down on the ground. Tyrese Hopkins, we talked about Ty Keys coming from Southern Miss, is also from Southern Miss as well. Only a gain of 2, 3rd down and short.
Every time they get him wrapped up, I think everyone's holding their breath. You got wet biceps, you got a wet jersey, and you got a wet football. And those generally at some point in time, that football's coming out. It's already come out once, but 3rd and 1 here, very favorable position for Hutch. And I think they've been a little more conservative on their early down calls, trying to keep it in the run game.
Collier has a wide open target out of the backfield, and Epton has the first down, trying to make a back juke before he was upended by Tyler Woodard, sophomore out of Memphis. Good play design, though, results in a first down, gain of 10 for Hutch as we near the 1:30 mark in the first quarter.
And that was thrown like a wet football. That did not come out in a very, very tight spiral. So either he's got a wet football in there or his hand is wet. Again, some of these weather conditions are going to start to play a factor here, and I think it's going to hit more in the middle of that third corner is where it's going to be really important.
For a second, that was a free play. Instead, a run up the middle and breaking free, Tyrell Reed Jr. right up the gut, touchdown, Blue Dragons. 37 yards right up Broadway. Hutch back on top.
Very effective. All that was good old-fashioned stretch, true stretch, not outside zone where you got down blocks and pullers. That was just overreach. Essentially, your offensive line are ripping and running and trying to overtake the next guy. And again, East Mississippi got over-leveraged, tailback cut it back up inside and right down the pipe.
To make it a 3-point game, Nestus Berger boots it through. Hutch got great field position at the 49, and the Blue Dragons punch it into the end zone. And no surprise, it's one of the two-headed monster. It's one head of the two-headed monster, and Tyrell Reed Jr., the all-conference first-teamer that gets his 13th rushing touchdown. Got to give credit to the guys up in the middle, too, for Hutch. They're the ones that kind of sprung him free up in the middle.
And not to belabor the point, again, that's why I think East Mississippi should have punted that football early on. Hutch played the numbers. You were fourth and about 4 there. They punt the football. They pin him down around the 9-yard line. You get off the field on defense with a 3-and-out. You get the ball back at midfield. Again, high percentage that you're going to come away with points. You're talking about 2 first downs, and you're virtually in field goal position there. They end up getting a touchdown out of it, but I think Hutch has recognized a little bit of what was perplexing them those first couple of drives. They were trying to mix in a couple passes, which I get. You want to keep people honest. But every time they threw the ball, they were putting themselves behind the sticks. And that last drive was essentially them just saying, you know what, we're going to run the football and we're going to stick with it and see where it goes. And obviously to their benefit and the lead.
Berger showing off that leg of his with another touchback for Hutch for the kickoff coverage. East Mississippi taking over with 1:15 to play. Starting to see some explosiveness from these two teams. A 29-yarder after a turnover for East Mississippi to get on the board, and now a 37-yarder on the ground from Tyrell Reed Jr. East Mississippi and Hutch, both teams have had their moments of trailing in big games. East Mississippi early on started the season 2-2, and now here they are 9-2 in the semifinals. A big hit up the middle. It was a handoff, but boy, no chance at being sprung free that time as Kayvon Sherman, all-conference first-teamer, comes up with a tackle from his middle linebacker spot, gain of 1 for East Mississippi.
And this will be an important series here for East Mississippi on how they counter here, now playing from behind.
Kyron Benjamin getting free on the far side. Found a crease. Has 2 men to beat. Finally taken down inside the 5 of Hutch. The explosiveness from the tailbacks of East Mississippi coming up big again, reaches the 1-yard line, 74 yards for the Lions.
And that answered that question. But this was a pivotal drive. They've got to, answer here, at least change field position. And they did quite a bit more than that. They didn't just change field position. They changed the entire field, and they're about to change the score here.
They officially rule it as 73 on that. High snap up the middle and reaching the end zone for East Mississippi is Ty Crowell. His 3rd touchdown. They go Wildcat. And you brought up the response of East Mississippi. How do they play it? How's 3 plays, 75 yards sound to you there, Gary Thomas?
As a guy who coached offense for 20 years, I like it a whole I like it a whole bunch. I don't know that I had 24 points, combined points in the first quarter on my bingo card. But I would have thought this thing would have played a little bit closer, at least early, feeling each other out. But we might be in store for a pretty entertaining one here down the stretch.
Think you're on to something. Point after try is good for Cole Arthur. 14-10, East Mississippi over Hutch. Two storied programs battling it out today in the semifinals. The winner moving on to the championship game. Winner of this game set to take on or Iowa Western or even Kilgore. A Kilgore team that's the number 3 seed at this point. I know you'll be making the drive up to Iowa, but here's another good look at the long play there from Kyron Benjamin. Jalen Jennings had a big run. Well, there's Kyron Benjamin saying, hey, look, I can also do the same thing.
And as I watch that in the last few plays, when you look at the biomechanics of how people are running, I can't help but, we're up here in the booth with the heater on, but the way guys are making some of those cuts that normally would be one-step violent cuts and putting their foot in the ground and getting north and south, they're not. A lot of guys taking short little steps into their breaks, which makes me think maybe it's a little more slippery down there than maybe even we anticipated.
High kick in East Mississippi, getting a big play on kickoff coverage. The guy who scored gets the hit, Crowell. An emphatic hit to take us to the second quarter. East Mississippi by 4 after 1 quarter of action here in the NJCAA semifinals. It's been a fun one from Gowans Stadium in Hutchinson. Blue Dragons, East Mississippi Lions. Lions leading 14-10. Hutch trying to answer back, trailing for the second time in the contest. Samari Collier, only 2 passing yards in the first quarter, taking a shot downfield and a remarkable grab by Zariah Beeson. He's an all-conference first-teamer. Comes up with his 28th grab, and boy, is it a big one. All of a sudden, 2 yards to being more than that for Samari Collier on one play.
And we just talked about 234 yards of offense in the first quarter, and now we're pushing closer to 300 here after 1 snap.
35 yards, and Hutch going back to the ground, and the ball came free, but Hutch able to hop back on it. Chris Kane was the one who was aware, the redshirt freshman from Mission Valley High School. There in that first quarter, Gary, 144 yards for East Mississippi compared to Hutch's 90 yards, and yet for East Mississippi, it's been a balanced attack.
And I think as we talked about in the break, Hutch can do some things, but East Mississippi is so balanced, and I think that would be a concern of mine if I was them. That should be an automatic. There you go. And we're going to get the flag. What I was going to say is he can't run once your helmet comes off. That's one of the new rules that they put in a couple years ago. But, if you're East Mississippi, you can say, okay, we're getting exposed here by the run. Let's go ahead and make an effort to stop the run because the pass doesn't scare us. The thing for Hutch, as you look at it, is Hutch is getting beaten in both facets of the game here. East Mississippi's having a little bit of success throwing the ball. They've missed on a couple throws, but people have been open. But they're really being effective running the football against that 4-man front while they've got them spread out. Although Hutch here potentially going to answer here, great field position. Like I said, what we were talking about in the break, they come out right out of the gate and throw a 40-yard bomb down the sidelines. So maybe we don't know what we're talking about.
Well, things are always changing here in this contest. Another handoff. This one goes to Tyrell Reed Jr., who had the touchdown run for Hutch, but East Mississippi not giving an inch. East Mississippi coming into this game, giving up 125 yards per game on the ground. Meanwhile, for Hutch, giving up just 55 yards on the ground per contest. East Mississippi in that first quarter able to run the ball at will 6 times for 114 yards in the first 15 minutes of play. No gain on that one to bring up second down and 10 inside the 35-yard line. different look this time as Hutch decides to bring in a new ball carrier, and the Blue Dragons just hand it up the gut. Solid gain on the play there for Brandon Epton. Brings up, though, third down, and neither of these teams particularly good on third down in this contest. East Mississippi 0 for 3. 1 of 3 are the Blue Dragons.
And Hutch choosing to stay in 11 personnel. What that is, one back, one tight end. Gives you 3 wide receivers on the football field.
Collier running hard, but he winds up getting tag team on the play. Marcus Ross got him the second time. It's a gain of 3 at this point. If you're Drew Dallas, you're probably thinking the go ahead and go for it as you're down by 4.
Yeah, from here you're looking at 36-yard field goal. The field goal still keeps you behind. 4th and 3 is a very manageable distance here. I probably would keep my offense on the field here as well.
Big play for both these teams. Collier, keeper, has a pulling lineman with him. East Mississippi trying to halt his progress. Collier needed 3, and he gets 3.5 as Hutch gets a big conversion. And I think it's because of a polling guy who went to the right side in the center, Maddox Marcotte. He's the one that led the way there for Hutch.
Yeah, really good job by a couple people there. Really good job by the corner that was out here by himself with a pulling lineman in his face, but he spilled. He didn't spill it, but he contained it and forced that football to go back up inside. But a great job by the quarterback, who actually was short at first contact and fought his way for that first down.
First down and 10. This play looks like trouble from the get-go. Epton, though, trying to make something out of nothing, but he was clipped to the ground. That was a solid tackle by Brylan Lanier, who's had some time at Indiana and Alabama. And his first time we call his name, no surprise, it's because of -6, in which he was ready for the tackle for East Mississippi.
Yeah, one of the big things we used to always preach is just a real simple concept of staying ahead of the sticks. What that means is, if you're 1st and 10, let's at least be 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. When you start getting into 2nd and 14s, 3rd and 12s, there's a lot of it's difficult to convert those situations, and really changes and puts handcuffs on your offensive coordinator.
Epton, guy out of trouble, and he reaches inside the 10. Looked like he would be stopped after a gain of 3, but Brandon Epton able to wiggle away from defenders, and Hutch has a goal to go after a pickup of 20.
And that theory right out the window. Actually was a bad snap, mishandled by the quarterback, and they actually turned a guy loose right down the middle. Running back makes a miss and rushes for 25 yards.
Epton bottled up that time. It's a pickup of 3 for the Blue Dragons with a sophomore from Dallas, Texas. Tyrell Reed Jr. had been really kind of the star of the show there in the first quarter for Hutchinson, but in the second period, it's Brandon Epton who has Hutch knocking on the door at the goal line of East Mississippi. 5 minutes off the board in the second. Good drive for the Blue Dragons. Can they finish up the middle? Reed winds up going to the ground. No gain on the play. East Mississippi stiffening up right there in the middle. Pick your poison. There are a couple different guys you can try to attack. East Mississippi, really deep though. They like to rotate in some different guys. Doesn't matter who it is. They all seem to produce for East Mississippi.
Yeah, they were a little fly motion there and made it look like jet sweep was coming, and they just brought the outside zone. Might have even been inside zone concept. Tailback cut it down the A-gap, but good job by the backside inside linebacker filling there. He got cut back right to him and made a quality tackle.
Timeout on the field. Hutch with a goal to go at the 5-yard line when we return. Third down and goal for Hutch. What's the plan here, Gary?
Try to score if you're the offense, and it looks like they're still in 11 personnel here, which gives them the option on run or pass.
Collier, quarterback keeper, gets a gain of 2, but not much after that as East Mississippi swallowing him up. Jalen Durgan, the 6'4" sophomore from Mississippi, he gets the hit. Hutch saying, you know what, we're close enough. Let's go to our kicker, Nestisberger, who already has a 39-yarder successfully here in this game.
And they went to the Conference Player of the Year. Don't know that I would do any different. I'd keep it in the hands of the most talented guy on the field, and good play by East Mississippi to keep him out of the end zone there.
Timeout for Hutch. Drew Dallas apparently didn't like the situation there for the Blue Dragons. Only one timeout remaining for East Mississippi for Hutch. That's the first charge timeout for the Blue Dragons. If you're just joining us, Hutch kicked off the contest with a 39-yard field goal from Nestisberger. East Mississippi had 2 drives. One ended in a punt, the other one a turnover on downs. But there was a fumble by Hutch that changed the complexion of this game. East Mississippi got the ball at the 29. Ty Keys then went to Cam Wright for a 29-yarder. Hutch battled back with a 37-yard run from Tyrell Reed Jr. right up the middle with 1:15 to play in the first. And then Ty Crowell gets a 1-yard run for East Mississippi with 2 seconds left to make it the score 14-10 at this point.
And more importantly for Hutch on this drive is, I mean, they've kept East Mississippi's offense off the field for almost 7 minutes here. And sometimes that's as important here as getting points. You know, you would have preferred to get the touchdown here rather than the 3, which they do get. You know, consolation prize, but, you know, it keeps you in the mix. You're only a point down here. But keeping East Mississippi's explosive offense on the field right now is as important as anything else that Hutch is doing.
20-yard chip shot for Nestisberger, who has his 4th made field goal here for the year. His longest has been 50, so the guy certainly has a leg, and that makes it a little bit closer of a contest. 14-13. Long drive there for Hutch. 12 plays, 77 yards, but the end result being 3 instead of 6. And now East Mississippi with a chance to get back on the football field. What has impressed you most about the Lions at this point, Gary?
Their ability to run the football and create explosives running the football against you know, a talented Hutch front. I think everybody, you know, other than the weather factor, you know, thought East Mississippi would attack it through the air. Their first 4 plays of the game were through the air, but really the flow of this football game has come on the ground for both teams.
Berger returned at the goal line by Marcus Harris, and he gets smashed right at the 20-yard line. Got drilled by Balansama Kamara.
That was the first of the 4 kickoffs that was not a touchback, you know, back to the kicker, who obviously is contributed in a bunch of ways here. He's got 2 field goals and an extra point, but he's got a big leg for sure.
Big leg for sure. That's why I was stunned that
30
we saw a
degrees
return.
and that flag is hanging straight down. If you can kick it in this weather, you can kick it anywhere.
Ty Keys in the offense back out there for East Mississippi. A lot of success on the ground, and they turn to Jalen Jennings, who was really a spark in the first quarter for East Mississippi. Only gets a gain of a couple. Hutch giving up just 55 rushing yards per game, number 1 in the nation. But here today, East Mississippi over 110 yards on the ground, and that was just in the first 15 minutes of action.
Yeah, and that stat, you know, honestly is a little bit misleading, leading the country. You know, that part of that is they're always playing with a lead. You know, they're sitting here, they're undefeated. Not that they can't stop the run. They see probably a higher percentage of pass than they do run because of the fact that they're winning most games by, you know, 20 points or better.
Well, 2 guys jostling here on the near side, and a shoulder pad becomes available there for Jacoby Moore. Came out of his jersey. He was tussling with Mundy for a Hutch. Winds up going as an incomplete pass, and I guess in that scenario, if you get 2 guys going at it at the same time, not going to give one an advantage over the other by throwing the flag. So that brings up 3rd down, big one here. Late pressure. Keys launches downfield. It's picked off. Hutch comes up with a turnover. In East Mississippi territory, it's Shakari Foster who comes up with the INT, his first one of the year. That's the 20th by Hutch, and it couldn't have come at a better time for the Blue Dragons.
A direct byproduct of turning a guy loose up the middle in the protection. You've got pressure coming right down the middle. When you design some of your pressures too, you want to design it where you can get a right-handed quarterback escaping the pocket to his left. So now you've got a guy rolling to his left. He's late, throwing back across his body a little bit across the field, and the safety undercut it. And that was a big play for Hutch. Great field position here and a great opportunity here to take control of this football game.
And there was a little late juggle there, but they don't go to the replay on that one. So Hutch takes over right at the 49 in East Mississippi territory. Collier, play fake, bombs it down the field, has a man off his fingertips. He was open. Trey Richardson, the former Sky of Highland Park in Topeka, that would have been his 5th receiving touchdown of the year. Instead, goes as an incomplete pass. It was there for Hutch, just unable to come up with the grab.
Yeah, again, back to what we talked about earlier. You want to attack the momentum. Anytime you get a turnover and you're in position to make it and get off the field quickly, you do it. And they did there. They went with kind of a boot, a protected boot, not a naked boot, and then a throwback to the post on the backside and had him open. Whether you just misjudged it, whether you've got a slick football, all of those are possibilities. But, if you're, you don't get too many opportunities to get a guy that wide open down the middle of the field, and it's just bone crushing sometimes when they drop it. And you got to feel bad for the kid. He knows this thing's on ESPN, and, everyone in the world watched him drop it. But, those things do happen. Everybody's human. Players are human. And we'll see how Hutch responds here to, you feel good about the change of momentum here, and you take a shot, and, the whole stadium's holding their breath, and now I'm not even opposed to the timeout there. Let's regroup. It's only 2nd and 10. The world didn't fall apart. Let's just get a good play call in. Let's cut this distance in half here, put ourselves into a 3rd and 6 or better so we can get a reasonable play call in and maybe even put ourselves into a 3rd and 2 that or even a 4th and 2 where we can now attack it and go into 4-down territory.
Well, Trey Richardson, people know of that name in the state of Kansas. For those watching throughout the season, the very first game, he had 3 touchdowns and 260 all-purpose yards in his first game ever. Made his name known against Navarro, a top 15 team in the country. Tough running right up the middle by Tyrell Reed Jr. Showed off his speed on a 37-yarder for a touchdown earlier on. That carry getting it all the way up to the 38-yard line for a pickup of 11. First down for the Blue Dragons.
And that was, I don't want to say that was all the running back, but that was about 98% the running back. One of the big stats they track, at some of the higher levels, Division I, NFL, is, yards after contact. He was hit there about a yard in the backfield and ended up gaining 12 there and moving the sticks. Good, hard run by the running back.
First down and 10 for the Blue Dragons. Reed Jr. again. Not a lot of push up the middle, though, from Hutch. Instead, it's a good push by those with white jerseys. Devin Arrington, a sophomore from Kenton, Mississippi. He gets in the backfield, -1 on the play for Hutch. East Mississippi leading by a point, but Hutch moving down the field. Can the Blue Dragons punch it in this first ever meeting between East Mississippi and Hutchinson? Winner moving on to the national championship game next week. Collier looking to throw again. Lobs it up down the near side in the end zone. And coming up with the INT is East Mississippi. Shannon Blair, his 4th pick, getting East Mississippi's defense off the football field, and the best result, no points given up for the Lions.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that I questioned that when he threw it. Obviously it was a deep pass, but the receiver took an inside release in the corner, and he was actually bracketed by the corner and the safety, and the quarterback threw it. And I'm quite certain that I'm probably correct because he was getting a mouthful from a coach as he came off the football field. I'm going to guess that was an ill-advised pass, and it really wasn't the opportunity. You're sitting there 2nd and 11, and you're 15 yards from a field goal, not not a position there where you really want to be taking a shot.
East Mississippi, after the INT, the Lions turning to Kyron Benjamin, who was trying to work up the middle. It's a pickup of 2 back-to-back drives, ending with interceptions for both Hutch and East Mississippi. We saw a lot of offense in the first quarter here in quarter number 2, just 3 points on the board, and it came from Hutch to make it a 14-13 contest with 8:36 to go. Second down and 8 for East Mississippi. Benjamin again. Off the right side he goes before being swallowed up by the Blue Dragons. Not much there in terms of gain for East Mississippi. Here in quarter number 2, that was just play number 5 ran for East Mississippi, and there's only 5 minutes to play here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and that was just a 2x2 motioning to 3x, or 2x2 motioning to 3x1. Your slot receiver kicked out the backside defensive end. Just a simple inside zone. Hutch does a good job of bottling it up. When you look at East Mississippi's actual success running the football, it's actually not bringing guys back into the box. It's been keeping guys spread out and out of the box with that threat of the pass.
We have an injured player on the field. Back with more. 14-13 East Mississippi. Semifinal football here on ESPN Plus. East Mississippi leading Hutch 14-13. Lions facing a 3rd down and 6 after the timeout for the injured player. And that guy was Kyron Benjamin, who was the one that was hurt there for East Mississippi, a guy who's been really electric here in the first half. 5 come for a Hutch. Keys extending the play. Has a chance to get rid of it. He does, but it's incomplete. Hutch decided to bring some extra pressure that time. I thought for a moment that Ty Keys would find some way to deliver a strike. Winds up going incomplete. East Mississippi having to punt on this drive.
I don't even really know what to say about that. That was a wild sequence there. He was a good 22 yards behind the line of scrimmage there. Sometimes you live and you die by the athlete, and that one a little bit out of my comfort zone for sure.
We do have a flag that is resting at the 39-yard line, so the officials are discussing things here.
It could be an illegal receiver downfield as long as that one took.
That would be my assumption as well, because Hutch is bringing out Trey Richardson in the punt return unit, so you don't really assume this is going to go against Hutch. Buddy Stevens right now talking to one of the officials. If you're Hutch, more likely you probably just call it good, decline, and then let's get this thing underway. But they're taking a long time discussing this here.
Well, the only other thing it could be from where it's at is a defensive hold in the secondary as that scramble drill went on.
Well, let's see what we have here.
The way they're talking to East Mississippi, it would appear maybe it's against Hutch.
Looks like they're just going to say a sideline warning. So after all that discussion, we just
that was
go to
a lot to
the
do about
equivalent
nothing
of a
right
yellow
there.
card before you pull out the red card there.
Yeah. That was a really long discussion for a sideline warning.
Well, East Mississippi set the punt once again with Trace Beard, his dad, actually doing play-by-play today for East Mississippi, normally the color analyst for the Lions. Guy was in the Hall of Fame at UTEP, former Miner. His son Trace averaging 42 yards a punt so far this year. Trey Richardson always dangerous to return. He's standing at the 40-yard line. Beard didn't get a hold of that one. Low kick. Richardson still picks it up anyways and almost spins away from 3 white jerseys. I don't know where Richardson came from. I thought he was about 15 yards off the ball, but he comes sprinting up and brings the ball to the 45-yard line. Hutch ball when we return. 1-point game as we near the end of half number 1. Blue Dragons starting at the 45 of East Mississippi. A little trickery here for Hutch, and East Mississippi was well prepared for that. East Mississippi gets blown up by Brylan Lanier. Little wrinkle in what Hutch did before. It's -4, though, because East Mississippi was well prepared.
Yeah, that again, the offensive coach in me right there, that makes my stomach cringe a little bit. You know, we talked about earlier, staying ahead of the sticks is just so important, especially in a game like this against a quality opponent, and now you're sitting here 2nd and 14 and limiting your playbook.
2nd down and 14 for Collier. Using his legs, getting some of that yardage back and then some as he nears the 40. He's 2 yards shy of it for a run of 7 yards for Samari Collier. Collier this year, he became the first quarterback in Hutch history since 2019 to run and throw for 100-plus yards. He did it against Iowa Central. Actually had an 83-yard touchdown run earlier this year. That would be the 2nd longest in Hutch history. He's got the capability of breaking away for a big play. Hutch needing a solid play here. 3rd down and 7.
And you got to think at the 3:30 mark here before the half, this is probably 4-down territory. Looks like they're going to run it down and call that timeout. You know, now you're not thinking here, okay, let's convert a 3rd and 7. You're thinking, okay, we got 2 downs. Yeah, he got tweaked a little bit. The quarterback did on the way down there, which they've played a couple games with the backup earlier this year. But, you know, from a play calling standpoint here, you're going, okay, how do we convert a 3rd and 7? It's, all right, we've got 2 plays to get 8 yards. Which does change how you attack this. You know, normally you would be sitting here going, okay, run is probably out of the question. But if you anticipate trying to get 8 in 2 plays, you actually can run the football here. Yeah, looking at the replay, we look like we got a little bit of a twisted ankle.
Yeah, it's what it looks like based on what we saw coming up and getting the hit was Brandon Lanier, who's starting to have a great second quarter here for East Mississippi. Looked like he twisted it up. If Samari Collier wasn't able to go, Jake Parker would enter the game. He's a redshirt freshman from Cartersville, Georgia.
And he is already throwing. He's
yep.
He just picked up a ball and he's been drying it off, which again, we're up here in the comfort of the booth. But you can look at the sidewalk out here, and the sidewalk is still quite wet. And the way he's handling that football and you know, moving his hands around in between throws, you can see how wet that field is. Even though, you know, turf does recover quite well, we are dealing with slick, wet conditions today.
Collier going to tough it out, and he overshoots his target. He lasered that one to Tristan Smith, but a little bit off target for Samari Collier, and that brings up 4th down, so a punt coming for Hutch, and that's got to be a major concern as we close the first half with 3:22 to go. The status of Samari Collier. What can you do, I guess, at halftime if you're Hutchinson when you're facing that type of situation?
You know, honestly, you know, like I said, they played a few games with the backup quarterback this year. I watched him in warm-ups. He spins it really well. I bet they wouldn't change much, honestly. Maybe a couple of the design quarterback runs and the read game, you know, but I would guess that they probably don't change much in the game plan. I think the backup's a quite capable thrower, and maybe in some instances maybe a more accomplished thrower. You know, but, you know, obviously you want your athlete on the field, and guy that's the conference player of the year. Looks like they're going to throw some tape on that ankle to support it a little bit. You know, this almost gives me, you know, flashbacks a little bit. I played in this bowl game as a head football coach in 2015 and, you know, against the number 3 team in the country, and we lost our running back on the opening drive of the game, who, you know, went on to play in the SEC and go on to play in the NFL, and we had to try to win the game with a backup running back, and it didn't work out for us.
East Mississippi ball at the 15-yard line. Jennings immediately was met at the line of scrimmage, but he broke away for a pickup of 6. Now we'll see just how fast East Mississippi goes. The very first drive, the Lions went quick despite it being 3 and out. And here in the second quarter, it's been 2 3 and outs for East Mississippi. So the Lions trying to break that trend on this drive. 2nd down and 4. Key steps up, sidearm throw, deflected and nearly intercepted. The deflection in the secondary for Hutch came from Malik McConaughey was the one who got the deflection, and he hit it up in the air, and sometimes we have tip drill. That could be dangerous if you're the offense there.
Especially down the middle of the football field. There's more people in there. Tip balls down the middle of the field, you usually get picked off in some fashion. And it's been a tale of two quarters here for East Mississippi. 140 yards in the first quarter and not even a first down here in the second.
Keys, quick snap, and he gets hit to the ground. Hutch brought the pressure. It came from the middle linebacker spot. Gowans Sherman coming up with his 5th sack of the year. However, there is a penalty marker on the ground in the secondary at the 28-yard line. Right now, it's a sack that would force an East Mississippi punt. But you can see Jalen Jennings is trying to indicate it's a penalty on Hutch. And that would be big, considering East Mississippi in the second quarter unable to get a first down. If they get one here, it's because of Hutch's doing.
We got a hold in the secondary, which
they
is
call it
about what
on
that flag would have
Monday
been.
in the secondary for Hutch, and what a poor time there for the Blue Dragons, as that allows East Mississippi to get a first down.
Yeah, if you're a Hutch fan or any type of coach or support staff, that's a super disappointing timing on that penalty, because you're probably looking at getting the ball back at midfield and getting one more shot here to score, and now you're not, especially sitting here with 2.5 minutes and no timeouts. Now you just got to make sure that you don't give one up here before the half, either a 3 or a 7.
East Mississippi with one timeout in its back pocket. Jennings got tackled hard to the ground at the 35-yard line. It's a run of 4. So East Mississippi, the very first down in the second quarter comes via a penalty by the Blue Dragons. Can East Mississippi capitalize on the miscue for Hutch? Ty Keys. More pressure coming in the second quarter, trying to sidearm it to Jennings, but it's too tall. What has Hutch been able to do in the second quarter? Is it simply just bringing more pressure at this point, because they're starting to get the Ty Keys a little bit more?
No, and that's the thing. They're not bringing pressure. They're just getting home with 4, which, most good football teams, if they can get home with a 4-man rush, are going to. They're going to get more into their blitz package here and try to confuse East Mississippi. They motioned to empty there and just ran a little mesh package underneath. Hutch defended it well. They just passed it off and let it go and got pressure on the quarterback, flushed him out of the pocket, and forced him to dump it with an off-balance throw.
East Mississippi 0 for 5 on third downs, and they take a deep shot trying to get a first down on that one. Cam Wright, the intended target, pleading for a penalty flag. Not going to get one granted, however. Buddy Stevens not even arguing too much after seeing that play develop. Incomplete pass, and while East Mississippi got a first down, courtesy of Hutch, they now give the ball back to Hutch with 1:50 to play.
East Mississippi did them a huge favor there. I get it. You're being aggressive. You're trying to get yourself in field position to get a field goal here or something before the half. But the incomplete passes are as good as timeouts for Hutch, and they're going to get another shot here to do something with it.
Richardson went off the field to get his ankle taped, and now he's returning the ball at the 26. He can make some electric plays, but East Mississippi has been all over him. The Lions haven't given him an inch. Wonder if Buddy Stevens saw that on film or something like that.
We are going to get I don't want to speak too soon.
Do you think there's a penalty marker on the ground?
No, the backup quarterback is in the huddle. Okay, both quarterbacks are in there. Okay, never mind. Little quick on the call there.
Say you made me nervous. I thought for a second, it's like, oh boy, was it not Trey Richardson? Was it someone else? So
no, I saw 12 walk into the huddle, but they had number 1 right in the center there. So just jumped the gun a little bit because he was throwing some passes here in between series after that injury.
It is something to note for sure, considering what we saw in the last drive. Collier got taped up a little bit better. Let's see if that helps him out, as Hutch is looking to score late in the first half, trailing by a point. Collier stepping up, keeping the play alive before driven down near midfield. Collier looking okay on that one, and he's pleading for a face mask. He's not going to get one granted, though, It's a gain of 10 for Samari Collier. Apparently, the tape job did wonders.
Yes, the athletic trainer is the true MVP right now. He does not look hurt on that carry at all.
Hutch going to increase the tempo. Collier surveying, just bouncing around in the backfield and then gets driven down. Took a little while there to make a decision. Ultimately winds up getting wrapped up for another sack by this East Mississippi front.
And as a coach there, that might force you to run the football. In this situation, again, if you throw the ball here and it's incomplete, you're just giving East Mississippi one more shot. They've got a timeout left.
Colin Crowder's the one that got the sack, and it is just a handoff off the right side. So East Mississippi getting the stop after a gain of 1. The clock does continue the roll, however. Buddy Stevens might be okay with a 14-13 lead going into the locker room.
And it appears he is.
Well, why not? You come on the road. It's just the third time since East Mississippi has played outside of the state of Mississippi. And the Lions leading by 1 going into the locker room. East Mississippi 14, Hutchinson 13. But a tale of 2 different quarters. Quarter 1 saw lots of offense, a combined 24 points. A little bit different in quarter number 2. East Mississippi doing well. Lions on top by 1. Back in Hutchinson, the Blue Dragons, they are trailing at the half, 14-13 against East Mississippi here in the NJCAA Semifinals. Other key facts about the NJCAA, 517 member schools, 53 sport championships every year. And I feel like that number continues to get better. And you can look at the All-Americans. That is a great amount of All-Americans. Lots of different sports, lots of opportunities. NJCAA, lots of stuff going on, and they continue to get better, bigger, and looking forward to seeing how the association continues to grow. Right now I have East Mississippi 14, Hutch 13. Back with more. East Mississippi leading number 1 Hutch 14-13 in the NJCAA football semifinals. Coming up tomorrow, Iowa Western and Kilgore. Should be a fun one as these 4 teams are trying to get to Little Rock to play for a national championship. For Hutch, the Blue Dragons got there last year. East Mississippi has won 5 titles under Buddy Stevens. And there you go. Look at the standings. East Mississippi getting in, Snow outside looking in. East Mississippi actually beat Colin in the championship, and it was a close one. They won 27-20. They broke a 20-all tie with a long passing touchdown to jump ahead. Dodge City from the Jayhawk with a 7-3 mark, a respectable season for the Conks Gulf Coast. Another team that beat East Mississippi in the regular season. East Mississippi avenged a loss later on. Trinity Valley at number 9, and Navarro, Hutch and Navarro in the very first game of the season locked up, and it was Hutch coming out with a W.
And Colin was actually 4 going into that game. So all they had to do is to win, and they would been in this game. So East Mississippi went from 6 to 4 and jumped over Snow, which if you're Snow, you got to feel terrible for them. But, geography plays against them right now. It's tough for them to put a schedule together that's got enough quality opponents to not get jumped in a scenario like that. But East Mississippi just, found a way to get in, and they're making some noise here as we go.
You got a quick preview on Kilgore, Iowa Western. You'll be on the call tomorrow.
I think the weather's going to be a factor as well. It's supposed to be dry, though. 13-mile-an-hour wind, but, if you're from Texas, you're going up there, and wind chill's probably going to be in the mid-30s. I think that'll be a concern. Again, throwing the ball in that wind, I think they like to rely a little bit more on the pass than they do the run. I've watched Iowa Western, play in person. They're not flashy. They're good. And the thing about Iowa Western is they're extremely well coached. Scott Strohmeyer does a great job, and they'll be well prepared, and they won't make very many mistakes. It'll come down to see if Kilgore can out-athlete them.
It'll be interesting tomorrow. Iowa Western, the defending national champs, beating Hutch last year. 14-13, East Mississippi. East Mississippi leading Hutch by a point, 14-13 at the break. East Mississippi with 5 national championships under Buddy Stevens. Hutch trying to get back to the national title game after a loss last year. A little bit of a redemption tour for Drew Dallas and the Blue Dragons. They are a step away, but they have some work to do in half number 2. A look at the first half highlights. Hutch kicking things off with a field goal, but this play really swung things in favor of East Mississippi. Samari Collier losing the ball, and 5 different guys trying to hop on it. Finally, East Mississippi recovers it at the 29. Very next play, Ty Keys over the top to Cam Wright to make it a 7-3 lead for East Mississippi. Didn't last long, though, because Tyrell Reed Jr. finds space up the middle for a 37-yard touchdown, 10-7. But East Mississippi, after a 73-yard run, next play, a 1-yard score for Crowell to make it 14-10 after the first quarter. Second quarter was all about defense, including a couple of interceptions. That interception that you just saw, Hutch had the ball at the 49 of East Mississippi. After getting a monster pick, Samari Collier went to the end zone, ends up turning the ball over, which was the second time that Hutch turned the ball over in the first half. And then at the end of the half, a sack taken, and that took us to intermission. Number 4, East Mississippi 14. Number 1, Hutch 13. Half number 2, we'll see what happens here from Gowans Stadium. East Mississippi and Hutch, low scoring there in the second, but let's see what happens in quarter number 3. Moments away from the start of the second half from Gowans Stadium in Hutchinson, Kansas. The Blue Dragons trailing East Mississippi 14-13. Couple other championships to look at in the fall here in the NJCAA. Monroe going back-to-back for the men's soccer title, a PK thriller. Iowa Western repeating as well with an overtime win over Eastern Florida State in the women's soccer final. And those took place not too far away from here, over in Wichita, a short drive away from Hutchinson. Florida Southwestern winning the D1 volleyball championship, second straight for Florida Southwestern. Trinidad State's winning the men's cross-country final. But on the women's side, Salt Lake celebrating a championship for the first time ever. Congratulations to those programs. Other games taking place right now, the NJCAA Division III final taking place. So if you want to watch that, feel free. I hope you don't go over there because I want you to stay here with us for half number 2. Tomorrow you have Kilgore and Iowa Western. It's number 2 and number 3 tomorrow. 2 o'clock on ESPN+. Gary Thomas will be on the call for that one. And then it's the NJCAA Division I final, the national championship from Little Rock, Arkansas on ESPNU on December 13. 14-13, East Mississippi with a lead over Hutchinson. Let's take a look at some of the first half numbers here, Gary, as both teams start to get loose on the football field. We thought at the end of the first quarter we were going to see more fireworks in the second frame. We saw a combined 24 points. East Mississippi able to get over 140 yards of offense, but then in the second quarter, just 17 yards of offense for East Mississippi. Hutchinson had 80 yards. You would think that the Dragons would probably be the team on top as of right now, but East Mississippi is leading by 1. How have the Lions been able to maintain their lead in the second quarter?
Well, I think reality is starting to set in for both teams, and the reality is that it's cold out there and it's not comfortable. The adrenaline when you come out early is the excitement keeps you kind of in it. It keeps you moving around. It keeps you warm. And the fact is now most guys that are out there are cold and wet. And that cold starts coming up through your cleats, and it starts coming up through your feet, and it just keeps on going. And once you get cold, you can't get uncold. And I wouldn't be shocked if that's maybe what we're looking at here is we've got two cold, wet football teams. The footing is not good. It kind of limits some of the explosive plays and some of the explosive movements that some of the athletes can make. But I wouldn't be surprised if a little bit of it is just some guys that are cold and not as interested as they were about an hour and 45 minutes ago.
Well, fortunately, we're up in the booth, so we don't have to worry about that
Not
aspect.
a complaint up here.
I think Coach Thomas would have left by halftime had we actually been outside. As we get ready for half number 2, a difference maker for East Mississippi, a difference maker in Hutchinson's roster. Who would you pick for both squads as we get ready for the second half kickoff?
Oh, man, it's hard to not talk about some of the real close punt returns, and I know that's a small portion of really what's going on here. But I'd have to say the running backs at East Mississippi, just having a couple explosive plays that have changed field position and put some points on the board. And as we speak it, here it comes.
Trey Richardson in the first half, there was one in particular I thought that maybe, just maybe, he would find a way to be sprung loose. Maybe the best one that he had was the one where he called for a fair catch, wound up fielding the punt, and then had to stop right there. But he gets a good return to the 43-yard line of Hutch. The Blue Dragons had excellent field position pretty much the entire first half, but yet only one touchdown to show for it in the first half.
And it goes back to what we talked about early on, which was staying ahead of the sticks. And they've done almost every drive that they've punted on, they've had a negative play which has affected their ability to continue. It's one thing to be a no gain. It's a whole other thing to be a 4-yard loss.
Well, Hutch started the game with a run. No surprise that the second half starts with a run, but not nearly the result that you would want. There's that turf monster, or in this case, I guess it would be the puddle monster that came out of nowhere to stop Brandon Epton. It's a loss on the play back to the 39-yard line.
And there's those. Exactly. I mean, you look at it there. He cut off his inside foot. That's not a field surface thing. That is a biomechanics thing. You cannot make that cut. There's no spikes on the sides of those cleats.
Samari Collier trying to go underneath, and I think the ball was deflected at the line because Hutch is complaining for early contact, but if it gets deflected at the line, everything gets negated when it comes to that point.
But somebody would make a signal, and no one's made that signal. I kind of thought it should have been a pass interference there in the box. But, again, I go back to the first down, losing 3-4 yards on first down. Just kind of plays into right what we were talking about is the negative plays for Hutch have far outweighed anything else that's going on in the flow of this football game. Is they've just put themselves in some really unfortunate situations to be able to pound the football like they want to.
Collier needs 14 yards to get a first down. He bombs it down the field, and he has a man for a touchdown. Samari Collier puts it right on the money to Oren Singleton. His 7th receiving touchdown, and it's a big strike of 61 yards as the Dragons jump ahead.
And every time, almost like clockwork, every time I talk about them putting themselves in a bad situation, they come out and the running back breaks a big run and makes 2 people miss, or they just rip off a 60-some-odd-yard touchdown. Fantastic throw again. That's the second really impressive deep ball that he's thrown today. The first one, as you remember, was dropped, which would have given him the lead. But just a well-thrown football, and you can see why he was the Conference Player of the Year.
Point after try is through, although the kicker, Nestus Berger, did slip and fall for a moment. 20-14, Hutch jumps back ahead. Only took 50 seconds in the third quarter. This is exactly what we want for Drew Dallas. There in the second quarter, you kind of felt like things were deflating here. Hutch jumping ahead, 20-14. Blue Dragons, there in the second quarter. You bring up the negative plays, Gary. You have Hutch getting -6. And now we're going to talk more about this as we take a break. We'll be back with more. Hutch reclaiming the lead 20-14 over East Mississippi. The big plays in the first half primarily going in favor of East Mississippi, but here in the third quarter, 50 seconds in, Hutch getting a big play. 61-yard touchdown, Samari Collier hooking up with Orrin Singleton. 7th receiving touchdown for Singleton and for Collier, his 14th passing touchdown this year. Coming at a good time for the Blue Dragons. This is returnable for East Mississippi. And bouncing off a would-be tackler is the return man. And going to the far side for East Mississippi is Jacoby Moore. Getting it near the 25-yard line or so, maybe a little bit before then. We'll see officially where they mark it. East Mississippi only had 17 yards of offense in the second quarter. Odds are probably not going to stay that way in quarter number 3, but what do they have to do in order to get some offense rolling and to get that first down to take place on third downs, not courtesy of Hutchinson?
And that's the biggest thing is sometimes it's just a positive play to get the ball rolling a little bit. And right now I think you're just looking for a little bit of stability. And there's your first down. And sometimes it's, Hutch had that stop for no gain. Running back makes an exceptional play, and that's how sometimes that ball gets rolling and gives guys a little bit of confidence, get the juices flowing, and, see if they can capitalize off of that.
It's a run of 14 for Kyron Benjamin. He went out due to an injury in the second quarter. He was a target on a little screen pass this time for Ty Keys. Unable to come up with a grab to bring up second down. Kyron Benjamin, he was able to get a big game against Gulf Coast. He had 132 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, one of his better games here in 2023. Second down and 10 from the 36-yard line in Lion territory. Keys underneath has a crossing Marcus Harris, who has the first down or near it. Let's see exactly where they spot it, and they're going to spot it 2 yards ahead of the first down marker at the 48-yard line, gain of 12 on a simple pitch and catch underneath.
Yeah, and as uneventful as that second quarter was, we're now pushing 100 yards of total offense here in a minute and a half, 90 seconds. And, that was, they motioned across. They've been motioning that guy in and kicking that end out and running the inside zone. That time they didn't have him block the end, brought him down as a low crosser. A little bit of a 3-level read, although I don't think they were 3-level reading it. I think they just had a little bit of a high-low concept there. The low came open right away, high percentage throw. Get your athlete the football in space and let him do the rest.
Ty Keys, incomplete pass there, over 3,000 passing yards, leading the nation in passing TDs. He turns to the ground this time, though, and Kyron Benjamin, his knee touchdown at the 44-yard line for a run of 8 yards, bring down third and short. Ty Keys against Holmes early on this year threw for 472 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's a capable gunslinger, but East Mississippi trying to balance it out with that rushing attack. And the Lions move the chains on the ground once again after a pickup of 3.
That was a hurry-up call there. They ripped off, 7 or 8 there on that second down call, and they came back with whatever their hurry-up call is. Ours used to be gas, 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 or diesel, 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 which just repeated the call to try to get a quick first down, and they did.
Keys steps up, lasers it over the middle, then a nasty stick in the middle. Jakari Foster had a pick in the second quarter. He got the hit, but it was a first down for East Mississippi as the Lions get it to the 28, gain of 13 yards on the play. East Mississippi trying to hurry up a little bit more. That was the tempo on the very first drive of the game, and then it slowed down a little bit there for East Mississippi. But now here they are facing a 1st and 10. Benjamin, after starting right, goes up the middle. Winds up getting inside the 25 in Blue Dragon territory and down at the 23-yard line for a pickup of 5. You know what I find interesting, Gary? Raymond Blackman, who was the championship MVP last week for East Mississippi, been really silent at this point. Makes you wonder when East Mississippi might be targeting him.
Well, and Wright just left the field after that big hit, and he was taking a knee over there and didn't look like he was having his best day. Here he comes back on the field, which is good to see because he did take a shot. And he had to step out for a minute and collect his thoughts. But good first down play there by East Mississippi, put themselves into a 2nd and 5. In reality, 2nd and 3s are about the best thing that could ever happen to you. Literally anything that you want to throw up against the wall is a good call. But 2nd and 5 is right up there with about as strong of a position as you can put yourself in as an offensive play caller as well.
Well, on a 2nd and 6, East Mississippi was able to get a first down, but there is a flag on the play. It's a hold. Hutch was calling for one. Everyone in the stands wearing blue also calling for a hold as well. East Mississippi, for the most part, relatively clean when it comes to penalties. East Mississippi had 2 in the first half, and there's 1 on the Lions to send them back to the 32-yard line of the Blue Dragons.
Yeah, and as excited as I was for a 2nd and 5, I couldn't be more disappointed in a 2nd and 14 as a play caller.
Keys sidestepping a defender, gets out of the backfield and lunges forward to the 28. He was met by Kayvon Sherman, who had a big sack in the second quarter for Hutch. Some yardage came back there for Ty Keys, but here we go, 3rd down and 10 for East Mississippi.
And this is where Hutch has been really strong today. You can see on 3rd and longs they run an entirely new package in there, and they've just got a bunch of deer out there, a bunch of cheetahs, and they've got their pass rush package here, and they've been very successful on 3rd and longs at getting after the quarterback.
Pressure able to be contained. It's Benjamin out of the backfield inside the 20. Ball is loose, but I don't think it stayed in play. I think it was out of bounds by the time the Hutch got to it. Had it stayed inbounds, that would have been a completely different scenario for the Blue Dragons. That might have been the one to really spring him here. Let's see what it looks like. There's Benjamin, but gets hit. He did lose the ball, and it is spinning, and then he touches it while being out of bounds. Smart play by Benjamin, because if it was Hutch, that's a turnover for the Blue Dragons.
Yeah, and Hutch, they've been having that success on 3rd and long, and they brought in that faster package, but they didn't bring the pressure like they've been bringing. They just, they lined up and brought 4, and good protection by the East Mississippi offensive line. I don't know that it was a blown coverage. They're probably giving away the flat there, but generally you don't. That's an easy pass to the flat there for an 11-yard gain and an easy conversion.
Well, good work from the camera crew. They were right on top of that one. That did hang right there. That would have been a recovery for Hutchinson, but instead it's East Mississippi ball at the 17-yard line. Lions haven't scored since 2 seconds to go in the first quarter.
And this would be a huge answer here by East Mississippi if they can come away with not only points, but more specifically a touchdown here to take the lead back. But at minimum here, you got to come away with 3 and leave yourself, you're still chasing points, which isn't ideal, but at least you're chasing 3 instead of 4 or 6.
1st down and 10 for Ty Keys. Some late pressure, gets it away. It's hauled in. Another good hit by the secondary for Hutch, but it's Jacoby Moore who winds up coming up with the catch. He hasn't scored since week 2 in the regular season when they beat Jones 47-23. A good catch there of 7 yards to bring up 2nd and short. And East Mississippi going to get things rolling here. Handoff up the middle, sliding by a defender was Jennings, has the first down as the knee touches at the 5. It's a pickup of 5 yards for Jennings. Goal to go for East Mississippi to try to answer.
Yeah, that was just a little inside zone. They're bringing the tailback flat across in front of the quarterback, making it look like it's going to be outside zone, and then he plants that foot and just gets vertical. And they've had quite a bit of success with that call so far today.
Jennings this time stuffed You try to move up the middle, but Hutchinson not giving an inch. Walter Bob came from behind to pull him down. When you have a guy like Danny Saili, who's 355 pounds, you also have Xavier Stillman, who's 312. Those are your two defensive tackles in the middle for Hutch. Hard to push around for sure. No gain on the play. Brings up second down and goal to the Wildcat. Crowell to the right side, and he is dragged down at the 3-yard line. Crowell scored from the 1-yard line in the first quarter. That was the last time East Mississippi got on the board. He was pulled down by Kayvon Sherman.
Not only did they go Wildcat, they brought in a heavier package. That's kind of the problem with spread teams, is when that field shrinks and those safeties are now involved, it's much more difficult to chew up yards. And, Hutch does a good job. Now you've got 9 guys involved in that front instead of normally 6 to 7, and normally it's 6 versus a spread team.
East Mississippi, goal to go here for the Lions. East Mississippi facing third down and goal. Lions trying to jump back ahead after leading at halftime. Keys floating it in the backside of the end zone. Touchdown, Cam Wright. Ty Keys delivering a perfect ball to Wright, the second receiving touchdown for him. East Mississippi has tied it up.
Impressive drive. Would you say that was 15-play drive there to answer after falling behind? What can you say here? I mean, two high-quality programs, 2 great coaching staffs, a whole bunch of great athletes. But the execution to come back after taking the lead and swing that momentum, not necessarily back in your favor, but at least to have an answer is huge.
Now the very important point after try, wide left.
0-0 ball game. Here we go.
20-all. East Mississippi ties it up with Cam Wright's second receiving touchdown. We're squared away at 20-all. East Mississippi able to tie it up with Cam Wright's second receiving touchdown. Cole Arthur on the point after try. Hutch able to get a paw on the ball. It was Walter Bob who got the deflection to keep it as a tied game at 20-all. That might be a big play as we watch this game continue to progress. Hutch be well guarded on the kickoff coverage there by East Mississippi. You can tell East Mississippi not wanting Trey Richardson to get free whatsoever. But in the grand scheme of things, I know it's just 1 point, it's just one play, but if we continue on this path, Gary, that blocked point after try by Hutchinson could be huge.
Yeah, and it's fitting that it's 2020 and those both end in zeros. I said that this game was really going to begin in about the middle of the third quarter, and here we are, basically a 0-0 ball game in the middle of the third quarter.
Hutch starting this drive at its own 24-yard line. One of the worser field positions for Hutchinson. One of the guys who was featured on the very first drive was Wayman Jordan Jr., the redshirt freshman. Against Iowa Western, he was huge. The Hutch Blue Dragons were trailing the Reavers in that contest to close the regular season. They find a way to win, though, against the Reavers, and was largely because of him. He had 4 carries for 99 yards and 2 scores. After a run of 6, Collier setting up the long ball with a fake, and it's incomplete. East Mississippi with a great pass breakup. Tyrone Stewart's the one that broke it up. I thought Zariah Beeson made his second incredible grab of this afternoon's contest for Hutch. Instead, it's 3rd down and 4.
And I kind of had a feeling at some point they were going to take a shot here pretty quick. They've gotten behind them a couple times. 2nd and 4 is a great opportunity to do that, and they did. Back to your point earlier, I talked to Coach Strohmeyer from Iowa Western the other day, and he said they held Hutch to 2 first downs in the first half in their game. The problem was he gave up 21 first downs in the second half, and that game got away from him.
It's Jordan again, this time a pickup of 10 yards. make it a gain of 9 as he's able to move the chains for Hutchinson. Yeah, that was the thing in the first quarter to have any yards there for Hutch. In the final 3 quarters, they had 353 yards of offense, so things certainly changed from that point forward. First down and 10 at the 35. Here for the Blue Dragons, surrendering a touchdown to make it a tie ball game in the semis. Collier flashing the gun, broken up at the last second. Tristan Smith had a step on the defensive back, Shannon Blair, who's got a pick in this game. He came up with a last-minute breakup there. I thought that was going to be a completion for what could have been a touchdown for the Blue Dragons.
Yeah, and Hutch spent most of the first half in that 11 personnel, and actually they're going back to it here, but they've been in a little bit more, 4-wide stuff here this second half, and there they motioned to empty and went 4-by-1 and got a shot, but they actually had numbers in the box there too. If they'd have ran quarterback draw or something downhill, they might have been in some business.
Well, speaking of running, Tyrell Reed Jr., who's been relatively quiet in the second half, gets a gain of 9 on the play. He had the 37-yard touchdown run to put Hutch ahead. And now the Blue Dragons going fast, trying to catch East Mississippi off guard. And it maybe doesn't hit for a touchdown, but it is a hard run up the middle for a first down to the 49 of East Mississippi.
Yep, that's that 3rd and 1 automatic. A lot of teams 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, they're going to go quick, not let you get your call in on defense, and just try to run, some type of wedge, inside zone, something like that, and just get that free first down and not let you get dialed in on defense.
First down and 10 in Lion territory for the Blue Dragons. Collier, after the fake, finds a wide open man. That's Beeson. No one picked him up over the crossing route. He comes back for the catch at the 33-yard line. It's a gain of 16. And don't look now, Gary Thomas. Hutch going quickly again. The Blue Dragons feeling much better about their offense here in half number 2 as they give it off to another ball carrier at the right side. Only a pickup of 3 or so, as that's Tyrell Reed Jr. with another carry. Hutch starting to find rhythm here, though, because they're in the second quarter. Neither team I felt like had rhythm. Here in the third quarter, it feels way different on that front.
And a very good mixture offensively. A couple shots downfield, a couple good quality runs that gain yardage, boot off of that, play action. They've got everything dialed up here and have got East Mississippi guessing a little bit.
Collier trying to find the crease. East Mississippi stretching out the play and then closing the gap out on the perimeter. Roscoe Malloy got him. We do have an injured East Mississippi Lion that is down on the ground, and that is Marcus Ross, one of the starting linebackers for East Mississippi. Would be a big loss for the Lions. That means Martavius Blackman would come in to take his spot. They do like this depth, though, of this defense. Get another look at it. Might have been friendly fire, depending on what happened. He came down, and he's immediately grabbing his hand. But he's down on the ground for a little bit longer than that, so they're going to try to figure things out. Maybe it's a shoulder, who knows, but we'll see what the injury is going to be like here for East Mississippi.
Back to that boot on the earlier down, quarterback took a shot from one of the secondary contained guy from East Mississippi. Just put a pretty good shot on the quarterback. It shocked me a little bit that they came back and ran the quarterback there on that down, but I mean he bounced back up, but I guess we're in the semis here. There's no reason to save any of the good stuff for another day. You've got to get through. You're in a dogfight here. There's no reason to save anything for next week.
That was your chance to quote something from a very famous movie. That was your chance. You chose not to.
Yeah.
Good restraint. Good restraint.
Absolutely.
That's why you're up here in the booth. Love it. So he's going to walk off on his own power, which is encouraging for East Mississippi. 3rd down and 4 for Hutch. Blue Dragons on the very first play, on the very first drive of the game, or the drive of the second half, 61-yard touchdown. This drive a little bit more methodical. This is play number 10 for the Blue Dragons. Trying to answer the 16-play drive for East Mississippi. It's Jordan Jr. who's tackled in the backfield. Brylan Lanier, the sophomore, comes up big once again, back at the 31-yard line, loss of 4.
I was about to say you almost forced yourself to have to go for this here because that loss might have knocked you out of field goal range. But as soon as I was getting ready to speak, they trotted the field goal team out there. So here we go. We're going to see a 49-yard attempt here, which is, 49 is not scary if you've got a good kicker, but it's a little bit scary when you're flirting with freezing temperatures on a wet field with a wet ball.
Oh, Berger, he's been awfully good when it comes to other things, and now a little stutter step, and it's blocked by East Mississippi. It's picked up by a Hutchinson Blue Dragon who brings it to the first down marker.
What's the old saying, better to be lucky than good?
I suppose. How on earth did Cy Ely, the big 355-pounder, return it for a first down for Hutch?
That went from a bad snap to a blocked kick to a 12-yard, 13-yard gain by an offensive lineman.
Well, it's not a fat man touchdown, but it is a fat man first down.
They're going to take a look at this, I'm sure. Make sure that he picked that ball up behind the line of scrimmage, which I didn't look at the replay there. But if he picked it up across the line of scrimmage, though, it is a dead ball, and East Mississippi takes over. If that ball's behind the line of scrimmage, that is legal for him to pick up and advance that football.
Well, we saw one replay there. We'll see if we get another look here. Looks like the play is going to stand based on what we hear up here in the booth. I would like to see another one there. Buddy Stevens is talking to one of the officials right now.
He's not going to like how this he's not going to like this information he's about to receive, I can tell you that.
And the information is Hutch has a first down courtesy of a rush.
Yes.
Although
yes.
Technically a fumble recovery for Cy Ely.
That was actually a perfect snap. That was mishandled by the holder. The kicker pulled up there, tried to kick it from almost a dead stop. That was a disaster from the get-go.
Well, if you're Hutch, got to make East Mississippi pay with that kind bounce on your own turf. Collier looking to the end zone. Near catch in the coffin corner by Beeson. He was covered by Tyrone Stewart. They're trying to go after Beeson a little bit more, and of course he should. This is a guy who was a all-conference first-teamer and a sophomore that has big play capability written all over him.
Yeah, and I get the concept there. You know what? Big change of momentum. Let's go after him again. It's almost as good as a turnover. I personally don't like the call there. You just got new life, breathed into you. I just, pretend that never happened. Move on, run your offense here. Get ahead of the sticks. Now you're 2nd and 10, and you got to make some magic happen here.
10 yards to go on 2nd down. Collier facing late pressure. There is a flag. Collier hurdles an individual and gets it close to the first down marker at the 14-yard line. It's a run of 8 if it stands, but there are not 1 but 2 penalty markers on the ground. I could probably predict one of them being a hold against Hutch on the far side. That'd be on the big left tackle, Javen Richardson, who's 6'7", 305. And they do indicate a hold on the Blue Dragons up front. An offensive line on the left side, all conference, and then at center, all conference, all of them first-teamers. But give credit to East Mississippi. East Mississippi has held its own up front, though I will say Hutch in the second half does feel like they're getting back to being the more physical team.
Yeah, but we're right back to shooting ourselves in the foot, and the negative plays are just kind of hamstringing them here as we, you almost feel like the way this game's played out a little bit that Hutch should be up a couple scores here. You've got a dropped post for a touchdown. You've got drives that were taken away from you by negative plays and penalties. And credit Mississippi, East Mississippi. They've taken advantage of their opportunities and they've hung around and created some explosive plays. But this thing's going to come down to the wire the way this thing's playing out.
Richardson underneath gets spun down after a pickup of 5, so some yardage gained back by Hutch, but still a long third down try. 3rd down and 15 for the Blue Dragons. Collier facing pressure and just gets rid of it. At the last second, Alvin Williams, a sophomore from Atlanta, he was right there for a moment, being picked up by the right tackle, Logan Cox, the freshman from Seaman in Topeka. At the last second, he decided to break away from the right tackle. Collier kind of ran right into him. So now we'll see. It's a little bit closer of a try.
What's unique, though, is, again, you got new life there, and you had a chance, and you go 3 straight passes. You've ran the ball pretty successfully most of the game, and you get all the way down here, and you throw 3 straight passes and take yourself out of a drive.
Berger, this is from 44, has the leg and puts it through.
Big stop there by East Mississippi after all of that played out, and a big kick here by Hutchins. Kicker to actually give him the lead here late in the 3rd quarter. Again, I go back to where the 3 passes necessary.
Hutch breaking the 20-all tie with a 44-yard field goal from Nestus Berger. Dragons by 3. Hutch breaking the 20-all tie, 23-20. 44-yard field goal made by Berger for the Blue Dragons. In a game like this, Gary, where it's been so nip and tuck, an extra point being blocked and a field goal try being blocked and then returned to give Hutch a 3-point lead, who would have thought that, I guess, those 2 plays would result in maybe a win or a loss here today in the semifinals?
The odds on that being a factor in the game are significant.
What are you trying to say? Not on your bingo card? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, that, and if you were a betting person, you'd probably lose money in that deal. There's that big leg again.
Well, after nailing a 44-yarder, I think I'd be a little bit fired up too as well. Nestus Berger taking over for Cole Seagraves, one of the best kickers that you'll see in the Jayhawk, but Drew Dallas and company felt like, hey, we need to go with this kid from Australia, and you probably argued that his leg is just as strong as a leg of a kangaroo would be my assumption.
Well, and I'd be interested to see if he's one of the Pro Kick Australia guys. A lot of there's Australian kickers all over the United States, NFL, college football, and they generally all come from that Pro Kick Australia operation there. And they really do a good job. Super talented. Something in the water in Australia, I don't know, but they are known for their kickers.
You trying to say they're not boxing with kangaroos? I mean, I'm just thinking that maybe that would be it. East Mississippi getting back to work here. Only a gain of 2 to open up this drive. Jalen Jennings has been the featured tailback primarily here in the second half. Kyron Benjamin had a moment there in the 3rd quarter, but it's been mainly just Jennings here in the 3rd. Late decision to run, and a poor one there for Ty Keys. Hutch put on a spy with Kayvon Sherman, who read it well. -2 for another sack for Hutch.
Yeah, and they came up and played man there. I don't know if they didn't have something dialed up that was a man beater, but Hutch had him locked down. Wasn't necessarily pressure on the quarterback. There was just nowhere to go with the football.
3rd down and 10 for East Mississippi as we go under a minute play in the 3rd quarter. Keys wants it all, and a flag comes out. It took a second for the flag to come out of the official's pocket. To the naked eye, it looked like there was some contact before the ball got to Cam Wright. Looks like the culprit for Hutchinson is Jermaine Hamilton Jordan.
Yeah, appeared to be the correct call. He was reaching for his flag. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that his hand is probably frozen and he can't feel it, and missed his flag on the first pull. But yeah, definitely the correct call. East Mississippi took a shot there. That was just a post from the outside receiver, number 1. Not number 1 on the jersey, number 1 receiver, meaning the outside, furthest guy outside. And good coverage. Probably didn't need to do what he did. Sometimes guys get a little handsy, and that's where we end up.
And another first down allowed by Hutch with a penalty against them. Keys with a late decision to keep it in the belly of the ball carrier. Hutch with a couple guys right there. Walter Bob had the block on the extra point. He swallowed up Jalen Jennings to bring up second down, and that very well could take us to our fourth quarter. Let's see what Buddy Stevens chooses to do. He has the headset off, so I think he's ready for the final quarter. Buddy Stevens talking to a couple of his football players. Hutch, players throwing up the 4 fingers. East Mississippi doing the same thing. We head to the final quarter. 1 quarter to decide who's going to the national championship game. Hutch 23, East Mississippi 20. To face either Iowa Western or Kilgore. Hutch by 3, second down and long, coming for East Mississippi. Ty Keys underneath. They've been going underneath quite some time here in the second half. Jacoby Moore was the one who came up and was going to try to make the catch there. Something that you were talking about here, Gary, was the fact that in the first half you saw those big rushing plays for East Mississippi. That has not been the case in half number 2 for this Hutch defense.
Yeah, they've seemed to make some adjustments up front, which has taken some of those explosive run plays away. And the other thing we talked about was 140 yards total offense in that first quarter. I think it was for East Mississippi, and 100 yards since then. They're only at 249. But on that last play, they motioned a bunch, and Hutch actually blew a coverage, and the corner route was wide open. And quarterback now people always used to tell me, hey, that guy was running wide open. Why didn't your quarterback throw it to him? You know, people don't realize all 5 receivers are not always, in the read. So I'm not saying the quarterback was wrong there, but they did blow a coverage, and they had a guy running wide open.
Cam Wright was the target on that pass for Ty Keys. A couple of touchdown grabs for Cam Wright, the transfer from Memphis. Now we'll see if there's any big special teams play to be made when it comes to punting for these two teams. Hutch bringing some pressure, nearly gets to Beard, but he gets it away. Trey Richardson calling for the fair catch, and he hauls it in at the 27-yard line. So a solid punt there of, well, I guess 33 yards, maybe not the average that Beard is used to. He's averaged 42 yards per punt this season. That one a little bit shorter. But, of course, the weather conditions make it a little bit more challenging. If you're trying to kick, that ball has to feel like you're kicking a rock. Well, here's Hutch. This is a primetime opportunity for the Blue Dragons. Get a touchdown here, and it by no means is it over, but this drive could be a defining moment for this Blue Dragon team.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things here is you just want to eat up some of this clock too. You don't want to not try to score, but you do want to control the clock here a little bit. Right now you would figure that East Mississippi probably is going to get the ball at least 2 more times, potentially 3. But odds say that they're probably only going to get 2 more possessions. So the main thing here is if you're Hutch, you don't want to necessarily just sit on a three-point lead and feel like you're comfortable. You need to eat up some of this clock, but you absolutely here have to change field positions. You need 2 or 3 first downs. A punt does not hurt you here, but you've got to make, that 35-yard punt plus 2 first downs is a 55 to 60-yard field position change, and that right now has to be, where they set their sights.
After a false start to open this drive, Hutch goes up the middle. Tyrell Reed Jr. is the one who was trying to plunge his way for some positive yardage. Nothing there, though. Hutch in the first half had 2 turnovers. Here in half number 2, it's been clean. And No, with East Mississippi punting the football, that snapped our streak of third quarter. We saw touchdown, field goal. So we saw 3 scoring drives in the third quarter. Shaking away from the defender is Tyrell Reed Jr. Gets a gain of a couple, but not much. Tyrell Reed nearing 100 yards on the ground, has 1 touchdown happen from 37 yards out. Hutch as a unit, when it comes to rushing, 163 rushing yards through 3 quarters. Pick up a 4 on the play to bring up 3rd down and 11. Samari Collier has had some pretty passes here in the second half. Can he deliver another strike? Well, he tried to find Trey Richardson, but it was to his right instead of maybe leading him closer to the sideline. Trey Richardson there in the first half, he had that 1 drop on a deep ball that was right at the goal line that would have been for a touchdown. That one was just Samari Collier just couldn't put it right on the money that he needed.
That's a tough catch.
Well, Trey Richardson, he's had a tough day so far at this point, but Hutch still leading by 3, a punt coming, and now a false start coming in against Hutch. Stephon Forbes was ready to boo it away, but they're going to
and he did
move it back.
He just hit that about 60 yards. I don't know if he can hit 2 of them in a row, but that we talked about eating some clock and changing field position, and they didn't really accomplish either of those things. They certainly didn't eat any clock, maybe 40 seconds on 3 plays. But tough to change field position from where you're at here. I'm going to guess that East Mississippi is going to get this ball, probably within 5 to 8 yards of midfield, which is drastically changes your opportunities and your percentages on scoring.
Let's see if Forbes has another one in him. Boy, does he. That's a low-line drive, as they say, inside the 30 and down at the 27-yard line. Punt of 60. Well, that was a punt of 50 yards on the dot. Hutch leading by 3. Hutch leading by 3, 23-20. East Mississippi with a chance to tie or maybe even take the lead. Lions do have some work to do, though, offensively, and it's Jennings up the near side who gets back to the line of scrimmage. Kyron Benjamin at the end of 3 quarters, 107 rushing yards. He had 73 on that 1 play, but here in the 4th quarter, haven't seen much of that here for East Mississippi. Just haven't seen him at all. Now, he did get banged up there at the tail end of the first half, so we will continue to monitor that situation. Ty Keys underneath. That's been the goal for Ty Keys and East Mississippi. It's been underneath. And Marcus Harris coming up with a snag. It's worth 5 yards. Quickly, it's 3rd down for East Mississippi.
Yeah, hard to think the way Hutch in this second half has shut down the run that if East Mississippi has a shot, it's not going to come through the air in some fashion.
Hutch showing blitz. Ty Key is going to change things. He's staring over at his coach, Buddy Stevens. They choose to change the play call. Hutch setting the house. Keys takes his shot. No flag as both players were jostling for position. Good coverage from Hutch. It's McConico once again with the coverage. The Jayhawk first teamer comes up big once again for Hutch. Hutch brought the house, and Keys went for a shot, but he couldn't hook up because of Hutchinson's defense.
Hutch has done a great job of dialing up that 3rd down pressure, and they didn't get home there, but they've gotten home enough times that East Mississippi was unsure if they were going to get home. And but you could see there was no safeties out there. It knew it was 0. East Mississippi took a shot. Great job in coverage. And as that receiver started pushing back, on the DB, that ball is behind you, so there's no reason for the pass interference. Just stay in your position, make the receiver go through you, and you won't get that call.
Well, we saw a punt of 50 yards moments ago for Hutch. How about 49 from Beard for East Mississippi? Blue Dragons set to take over. Ever since Drew Dallas has taken over, From 2018 to 2022, Hutch recorded 47 wins. That's not including the 10-0 record here for this year. That's the most victories by anyone across the JUCO ranks. Number 2, Iowa Western with 46. And no surprise that both teams are in the semifinals. Iowa Western set to play tomorrow.
I would bet that East Mississippi's not far behind in that 3 spot. I don't know who number 3 is, but they would be a logical guess.
Hutch turning to Brandon Epton. It was a steady dose of Tyrell Reed Jr. Epton this time getting a carry, and he reaches the 39-yard line for a pickup of 10 to kick things off for Hutch. Normally when you have 2 big fellows leading the way and you can reach 5 yards down the field without being a touch, it's usually a pretty good indicator of some success on the ground. This time it's to the far side. Epton slithers up to the 42 for a pickup of 3. Well, now if you're Hutch, this is the time to really waste that clock a little bit more, as you brought up in the last drive.
Yeah, and they're getting back to what they did early on in the football game, which was, the outside zone where you're actually pulling people, not necessarily stretch, but we used to call it DDP, down, pull around. That one was counter. Both of those calls are very safe calls because they make you gap sound in your blocking schemes.
Epton up the middle, driven down from behind. Michael Hines tripping him up, but still a good run, getting up to the 46-yard line for pickup of 4. Nearing the 10-minute mark in the 4th quarter. Hutch trying to get back to the national championship game, but this time get a W compared to last year, a loss to Iowa Western in Little Rock. Collier hands it off. Reed burst up the middle for a first down right at the 3 stripes at midfield, gain of 4. Move the chains for Hutchinson.
And they're going to go fast here. Great cut by the running back there in space to make sure that he got that first down.
Collier chooses to send a man in motion near side. Reed Jr. breaking through arm tackles. Gets up to the 41-yard line, just shy of a first down. It's a pickup of 9, and Buddy Stevens doesn't like what he's seeing from his defense. Maybe a little bit gassed. Calls for a timeout.
Well, and Hutch found something there they liked and chose to go back fast.
Hutchinson trying to pound away in the 4th quarter, leading by 3. The Blue Dragons trying to get 1 yard to extend this drive. It has been nothing but ground and pound, and Reed Jr. does it again to move the chains for a Hutch, reaching the 36, a pickup of 5. In addition to wasting clock, Gary, what about the mentality aspect on the other side for East Mississippi? If you're Hutch and you pound away, how much does that deflate a defense at this point?
It does, and as an offense sitting on the sidelines, you start getting a little bit nervous. You want the ball back with an opportunity to make a play and try to put yourself in every second that ticks off that clock. As you're an offensive player for East Mississippi, the pressure mounts, and it starts getting a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter. And, like I said, I still think they probably get 2 more opportunities here on offense. On that last drive, I said maybe it's 3, but Hutch is kind of having their way here. On this drive, moving the football, and all of it on the ground, not one in the pass. And I other than maybe that 2nd and 1, I don't know that I would throw the ball at this point.
Oh, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Epton breaking a tackle, and there's a negative play that East Mississippi desperately needed, and maybe that comes from a timeout from Buddy Stevens, witnessing his team getting gashed. It's Marcus Ross, who was banged up for a moment, coming up with a stop. Big one for minus yardage there for Hutchinson.
And now we probably are going to see a pass. As soon as I said I wouldn't throw it, now we're probably going to see a pass. But again, that's been the theme of the game for Hutch. It's the negative plays and the penalties. But it's been more the negative plays than even the penalties. Just absolutely putting them in terrible positions on some of these drives. you play football long enough, you're going to have a 2-yard loss. You're going to have a 3-yard loss. Those things are going to happen. They're having 7- and 8-yard losses, which are absolutely drive killers.
Well, that one was an 8-yard loss, and Reed Jr. gets it to the 35 for a pickup of 6 yards on that play to bring up 4th down. And if you're Drew Dallas, you don't want to give East Mississippi good field position, and this is where you go for the more conservative approach with Stephon Forbes, who's going to step on for what should be just a tiny little pooch kick for this point. East Mississippi hoping to see that thing go all the way into the north end zone. Forbes taking his time, and that is a high one for sure. And East Mississippi chooses to go for a fair catch, and it's at the 18-yard line. It's only a punt of 17 yards. Kind of a dangerous play, though. If you're East Mississippi, you bottle that. If you botch that punt return, that's going to give Hutchinson good field position, and that very well could decide the game. Instead, they get the ball back with 7:23 to go.
Yeah, and hindsight's 20/20. I almost think there, if you're Hutch, going for it's not a terrible idea there either. You put the game away. You get a first down there, you probably run 3.5 more minutes off the clock. In hindsight, that was only, what'd you say, 16, 17-yard punt. Is that a good enough trade-off to try to convert that 4th and 9? Luckily, I don't have to make that decision from up here.
Jalen Jennings trying to stretch it to the far side, and he's pulled down by Jakari Foster, who's got an INT in this game. We thought that was going to be a game changer back in the back in the second. Second quarter, we only saw 1 field goal. That was our only scoring drive of the second. Third quarter, 3 scoring drives. Here in the fourth, it's been quiet. Ty Keys, really not known for his dual threat ability, more so of a pure pocket passer with over 3,000 passing yards. That time changing it up and going for the run, a run of 9 to move the chains for East Mississippi.
Yeah, more than 50% of our points have been scored in that first quarter, which was, we looked like we were going to be looking at watching a barn burner here, and we're actually seeing both defenses settle in and do a really good job of containing 2 really good offenses.
Keys went with a jump pass. They're going to say, though, it's recovered and returned for a touchdown. That's Jermaine Hamilton Jordan. But it looks like the ruling is going to be an incomplete pass, but there was an official on the far side that ran with the return man. Let's take a look. Yeah, to me, that's an attempted pass.
Yep.
It goes as an incompletion. East Mississippi lives for another day. Second down and 10 coming from the 29. Keys slings it. Just couldn't come up with a catch, though, was the intended target. That's Raymond Blackman, who
Here comes the cheetah package.
in the
It's like a hockey line change there.
Well, in the championship game in the MACCC, he was the championship MVP, but here today he has just been bottled up by Hutch. But as you brought up, hockey line change coming here for the Blue Dragons as they maybe smell blood in the water.
And this is where Hutch has been at their best today, is on these 3rd and longs with this, we used to call it a radar package, where guys are just kind of roaming around because you don't know where the pressure's coming from.
Keys gets hit. Pressure gets to him. Hutch comes up big again.
And they're still at their best on 3rd and long.
This time it's Daniel Brown, the Jayhawk Conference Defensive Player of the Year. It's been quiet for Daniel Brown today, but he comes up with his 18th and a half sack. Number 2 in Hutch Blue Dragon history.
Which is an unbelievable number. and probably even more unbelievable to see how many fourth quarters he didn't play in this year, to have 18 sacks in essentially 11 football games.
The former Cyclone of Bishop Ward coming up with the hit in the backfield. Comes at a perfect time. It's been quiet for him. Trey Richardson, that one almost went off his leg in the middle I thought for a moment from up here, from the naked eye, it looked like that maybe it deflected.
I was going to get mad at him, and I'm not even his coach
Well,
for even going near that thing.
well, Trey was making it interesting. That is for sure. Clock stopped at 5:28. Hutch 23, East Mississippi 20. Well, Daniel Brown has had a heck of a year, being second most sacks in single season history for Hutch CC. The other guy who had a great year was Ryan Nolan, but unavailable today. He got banged up late in the season. He's a all-conference first-teamer. He's the one that had 7 INTs this year for Hutch, and yet the Blue Dragons have been able to make do without him. Hutch starting this drive on the ground with Reed, who reaches the 46-yard line before being swallowed up by Tyler Woodard. It's a solid gain of 4 on the play.
And now we get into a little bit of cat and mouse here. We've got 5 minutes on the clock. East Mississippi's got 1 timeout left. Every first down is essentially 2.5 to 3.5 minutes off the clock. Essentially 3 first downs, 2.5 first downs here, and Hutch can ice this thing if they can control the football. And I would guess that a heavy dose of that is going to be on the ground.
Play clock down to 6 before the snap taken. Collier gets smashed to the ground after a pickup of 1. Well, 2 plays, you get 5 yards. 3rd down and 5. East Mississippi needs a stop right here, right now. Blue Dragons are 5 of 14 on 3rd downs in this contest.
As important as anything you do, you talk about practicing your 2-minute offense. There's also a 4-minute, 6-minute offense as well of when you've got a tight lead like this on how to, kill a clock and, essentially pull out a football game.
Collier on a bootleg. The intended target dropped it. That's Rod Gibbs. Doesn't have a single grab this year. That would have been the first one to move the chains, to move the clock closer to zeros. Instead, incomplete pass, and East Mississippi has life.
That would have run an easily another 2.5 to 3 minutes off the clock and probably put this game away. I will say the first thing the quarterback did after that was walked over and patted him on the back and told him, don't worry about it. Good sportsmanship, by teammates there.
Forbes with another punt. We've seen a lot of punts here in the 4th quarter. Fair catch called for at the 12-yard line. That's a punt of 41 yards. Under 4 to go. A defensive contest in the 4th quarter. Can East Mississippi rally? Trailing by 3. 3 minutes and 57 seconds to decide who's going to Little Rock. Defenses have been the star here in the 4th quarter. East Mississippi going with a short pass from Ty Keys, hauled in by Marcus Harris, who winds up getting a solid yardage, reaches the 19-yard line or so for about 7 yards. You're going to say he gets it to the 20.
The clock is not your friend here. That's going to be the biggest enemy of East Mississippi. They don't have to necessarily go fast, but you definitely have to keep in mind that, going 18 seconds in between plays is not going to end well for you at some point in time.
Well, a quick run to at least move the chains for East Mississippi.
Unfortunately, with the rule change,
line.
that doesn't stop the clock for them like it used to in the old days. So I think only under 2 minutes now do first down stop the clock. So you got to have a little bit of urgency here.
Ty Keys sending a man in motion. Just 82 passing yards. Taking a shot down the middle. And it's hauled in. Cam Wright makes the grab.
If I'm East Mississippi, I go fast here and snap this ball on a run play.
It's a gain of 40 yards for Cam Wright. But more than likely, we're going to get a review, and that is the case. Ty Keys and company couldn't move fast enough. So the clock halts at 2:33. They mark it at the 41 officially, so that is a
I was getting ready
different
to
change on the game. It gets it to the 41-yard line here.
I was getting ready to say at some point they're going to need a chunk play. Those first 3 plays they used 57 seconds, and they only had 3 minutes and 57 seconds to work with. So at some point in time, you were going to need a chunk play. They went ahead and got it there, and assuming that this stands, great catch.
Yeah, we'll see if we can
Great
get a look
competitive
here on
catch.
the replay, but looks like it was decided quickly. Cam Wright's been the big guy here today. Let's see it one more time. And he was well guarded.
And a heck of a throw
And
from the quarterback.
based on what
with
I
a
see
guy
there, Cam
taking a
Wright was
shot.
able to come down with it. So they're going to say the ruling stands, and we're moving on. East Mississippi getting a big play from Cam Wright, the former Memphis Tiger, who has 2 receiving touchdowns this afternoon.
Quarterback took a shot while he was throwing that as well.
Clock now runs. First down and 10 in Hutch territory. Jennings up the middle. It's tag team after a pickup of 4.
And that should bring us under 2 minutes now, where we get the new timing rules, where first downs will stop the clock,
Well,
at
now
least temporary, for them to spot the football.
Well, now you look at Cole Arthur, who had an extra point blocked. His longest of the season is 39 yards. You're not thinking tie here, but that does become part of the equation. Keys got sacked. Also lost the ball. East Mississippi picks it up and returns it back to the line of scrimmage. And a guy that had the ability to pick up a blocked field goal is the one comes up with a sack. Danny Saili. He's the one that punched the ball free. And he comes off the field trying to get the Blue Dragon fans on their feet. 3rd down and 6.
And here comes Hutch's pressure group.
Keys lobs it down the field. The flag is out. It's caught. Oh, they're going to say he was out of bounds. Jacoby Moore out of bounds according to the official, but there was a flag thrown early at the 25-yard line. More than likely, this is
Defensive
going
holding.
against Hutch. It happened so early that you're thinking maybe illegal contact down the field.
He already signaled it is defensive holding. Which would explain potentially why he was so open. He got held, and by the time he let up, he ended up pulling away from him.
So now East Mississippi has the ball marked down at the 28-yard line. Lions with only 1 timeout left. The Blue Dragons have all 3 of theirs available. East Mississippi with just 1 touchdown in the second half. Minute 18 to go. Keys unloads it. You could tell there's a little bit too much on that one, although they're going to throw 2 flags. It looked like there was a little bit of a tug as Cam Wright was trying to get free, the one who held him on the play for Hutchinson.
And he did. He pulled him from behind.
That was Oren Singleton, if I saw the number correctly, and that is the case. A guy who is primarily a wide receiver. Now I actually see the number. It looked like 0 from up here. Instead, it's Jordan Scruggs who's getting called for the PI.
He did tug him there from behind as he was trying to pull away. I don't know that he would have got to that ball, but that's not necessarily how the rule reads anymore when everyone's calling for the uncatchable. But it legitimately was a defensive hold or a grab.
So after the penalty flag against Hutch, that's back-to-back plays resulting in penalties against the Blue Dragons. From the 12, Jennings, far side, trying to sneak by one Blue Dragon. Couldn't get to the end zone fast enough. He got taken out by Hamilton Jordan. Now Jennings comes up limping. I thought for sure Jennings had a surefire touchdown. Instead, he's driven out the 3-yard line after a pick of 9.
Now, if you're Hutch here, do you let him score and take that minute and try to do something with it? I've never been a guy that's been on that side of wanting to let someone score, but it might be your only chance here.
Well, this is the Wildcat. Crowell shifting, trying to get a late push from one of his offensive linemen, but he's halted there. Here's the other factor, Gary, that we probably haven't talked about. All you need is 1 yard to get a first down. You're not talking end zone here. You just need a yard to get a first.
Correct. And Hutch just used a timeout there.
First timeout charged to Hutch in the second half. Guess if you're East Mississippi, you could just go a couple runs and call it good. All you need is a yard in order to get the first down, and that's the good scenario if you're an East Mississippi fan.
You don't want to try to get that 1 yard with one play left, though. You want to talk about that chokehold getting tight is if you go no gain here and now it comes down to one play for 1 yard. Not saying they can't do it, but, man, that is a stressful situation.
Here in the fourth quarter, we've had 6 punts. That's what we've had. Kind of reminds me of what took place in quarter number 2 when we had 3 punts, 2 interceptions, and 1 field goal made to make it a 14-13 ball game. With East Mississippi being out front, East Mississippi with 5 national championships, trying to make it 6, but in order to get to the national title game, they have to find a way to rally here. Still have the option to settle for a field goal, but again, you're not thinking field goal here. Even if you don't get it here, do you even entertain the idea of going for it on 4th down?
No. You don't want to go to overtime on the road against a team like Hutch that's running the football kind of well today. I think you got to go in with the mindset we got 2 downs to get 1 yard.
Keys back to a normal formation, although the wide receivers are stacked up. Also, too, Lee Wade in the game for the first time for the injured Jalen Jennings. Flag is out before the snap is taken. If this is against East Mississippi, what a poor time to have early movement up front.
Yeah, now your field goal comes back into play here. Not necessarily saying it'll happen, but now you're not making any decisions until you see how this plays out. But if you're probably 4th and 2 or more, you're probably playing for the 3 here and playing for overtime.
Well, 3rd down and 1 becomes 3rd down and 6. Coming at the 8-yard line.
3rd down and 6. It's 3rd down.
You can hear the roar of the crowd. It's been a good crowd here today. Keys hooks up with Wrights, who's trying to lunge for the pylon. He has it. Cam Wrights, an 8-yard touchdown, his 3rd receiving touchdown today. And East Mississippi has taken the lead with 52 seconds to play.
They went back to their mesh concept that they've had some success with, really. That's almost, other than a couple big plays, chunk plays down the field, has been their only passing game today, has been some of those super low crossers, 3-yard and under crossers. And they hit one there and just turned into a track meet, and one guy happened to be a step faster than the other, and that's the difference in the game right now.
Cam Wright having a ball game. Keys going to Old Reliable. And now an extra point, which we saw a blocked one earlier. This one to make it a 2-score ball game. Kick on the way. That one splits the uprights. And here we go. East Mississippi taking the lead 27-23 with 52 seconds to play.
Well, if you're Hutch, now you start thinking about the post that was dropped for a touchdown. You start thinking about the bootleg that probably ended this football game. If that first down there with, at the time, East Mississippi only having 1 timeout, they probably run it at minimum 2:20 off the clock with 3 more run plays and put that game, what was there, 3:57 when they took over. They would have left, you get 2 first downs, the game's absolutely over, but even 1 more first down, and mathematically East Mississippi wouldn't have been able to catch them. You hate to say any one play won or lost this game. To me, it has more to do with how many negative plays And when I say negative, I don't mean 2-yard losses. I mean 4, 5, 6, and even 7-yard losses that Hutch has taken. That's taken them out of drives. If that's me as a coach, that would be the biggest takeaway for me and biggest disappointment for me, assuming that I went on to lose this football game.
Cam Wright targeted 12 times in this game. 5 catches for 91 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pretty spectacular performance by him. And now a short kick, return at the 32. And Hutch doesn't get much past that, maybe 1 on the return. And now we see Samari Collier, the co-offensive player of the year, and the Jayhawk. Can he deliver a drive here for the Blue Dragons to try to get back to the national championship game after losing it a season ago? 48 seconds, 2 timeouts left, and you need a touchdown.
That's a big ask. Not impossible with 2 timeouts, but you've got at some point you got to get chunk play and give yourself even a shot at a Hail Mary. Hard to think that you're going to put together 3 or 4 chunk plays to win this thing. The odds are significantly against you at that point.
Collier dodges pressure off the edge, bombs it downfield, and it's bobbled incomplete by Beeson. He threw it down the field at the 25. It looked like he was going for Trey Richardson first, but Beeson is the one who came in.
And he would have walked in the end zone.
And he would have had a touchdown.
Literally would have walked into the end zone.
Collier, first and foremost, to break that tackle on the would-be sack. That was impressive. But Beeson had it in his hands, had been all reliable in this game for the Blue Dragons. That time can't come up with a grab.
Hutch needs to – they got 6 seconds left here on the clock, and you do not want to use one of those timeouts here.
Collier, clean pocket, uncorks it. That is a high one that goes out of play. Saw the arm strength there for Samari Collier, the former Illinois Fighting Illini. Couldn't hook up with his target. Collier in this game is just 7 of 20 through the air for 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and has been sacked 3 times. Well, for East Mississippi, do you think about bringing some pressure here?
I wouldn't, especially the way that first down went. I would sit back there and think that in 34 seconds, they're going to have a hard time putting together enough big plays to catch me.
Collier dancing around, squares his shoulders, takes a chance downfield. Trey Richardson takes flight and almost has a catch in triple coverage, but he can't haul it in. And now the Blue Dragon season comes down to this, a 4th and 10 from their own 33-yard line.
With the timeout here, though, all you really need is the first down. The fact is you need about 15 yards for the Hail Mary. Now this play is probably going to take 6 to 8 seconds off the clock, but if you call the timeout right away, you still got a chance for 2 plays after that could be shots at the end zone.
This is the Blue Dragon season right here. Collier unloads it. Richardson to target, and it's incomplete. No flags on the field. And East Mississippi is going to hang on to move on to the national championship game at Little Rock next week.
They took their shot. Again, I mean, at some point you have to take that shot. They chose to take it there. With so many people that far back, you probably could have got the first down and took it at a different time. You still had 2 timeouts. Eventually it was going to come down to a Hail Mary. Whether you take that shot there or whether you take it 10 seconds from now in a different place. But in that situation, East Mississippi's almost giving you the first down. If you just take something towards the middle of the field. Again, the clock stops anyway with the new timing rules, but you do have those 2 timeouts in your pocket. But this is going to be a long off season probably for Hutch and seeing how this thing played out. That last drive with 2 defensive penalties that extended the drive with 2 dropped footballs that probably changed the outcome of the football game, with how many negative plays that took them out of drives. Those are just unforced errors necessarily by East Mississippi. And congratulations to East Mississippi. They've done everything that they could possibly do today to stay in this football game.
Here's the thing about East Mississippi. Since 2008, 5 national championships. In 2011, 13 and 14, 17 and 18. They were just one of 2 different teams that went back-to-back multiple times. Thing is, since 2008, when they have reached the national championship game, they're 5-0 in the big game. Can they make it 6-0 next week? They will face the winner of Iowa Western and Kilgore, taking place tomorrow.
And 7 days ago, they weren't playing in this game.
East Mississippi goes on the road, battles cold temperatures, and now moving to Little Rock, Arkansas. 2-2 teams, now 10-2, playing for a national championship. Lions getting the win, 27-23, in a meeting there with Buddy Stevens and Drew Dallas. Coach Stevens and Drew Dallas, a lot of respect between those 2 individuals as coaches. Just talking to both of them, they both look at each other and they think that they are elevating the game of NJCAA football here today. And it is incredible. East Mississippi outside looking in gets a chance, and the Lions are moving on to the national championship game.
And that tells you how small that margin of error is. That's the number last week, the number 6 team in the country, who earned the right to be number 4. But 7 days ago, their number 6 knocks off the number 1 team on the road in more than undesirable conditions. Not necessarily on the field. The field is fine, but it is cold, it is wet, and as we all know, the wet makes the cold worse. The only thing that could have made it even worse was a little bit of wind, which we didn't have. But congratulations and credit to East Mississippi. Heck of a job today.
Heck of a job for sure. It's been a dandy of a game. Cam Wright being the star of the show for East Mississippi with 3 different touchdowns. But you thought that maybe a couple special teams blunders to go in favor of Hutch, maybe that would be the dooming of East Mississippi. But the Lions, they started at their own 12-yard line on the go-ahead drive, and they find a way to drive down the field. They go underneath the Cam Wright, and he fights toward the end zone to put the Lions on top, and they are moving on to Little Rock for the national championship. Lots of celebrating taking place for East Mississippi, and rightfully so. In the replay, you see the reaction of Buddy Stevens. He's celebrating, and they're hoping to get one more chance to celebrate as they go on to the national championship in Little Rock. Final thoughts, Gary?
I don't envy East Mississippi's drive home, but that bus ride gets a lot shorter knowing that you've got one more football game and one for the whole shooting match. Should be interesting, I would think, from an athletic standpoint. They match up really well with either team that they could face. Iowa Western, who I have watched in person, Kilgore, who I'll get to see in person tomorrow. I know Kilgore is going to be athletic. Iowa Western is just a really, really complete football team. Doesn't wow you with athleticism. I would say offhand, just watching the 2, I would think that East Mississippi's got more just natural athletes running around, but it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
Somehow East Mississippi actually outgained Hutch, if you believe that, 324-322. It took a little bit for that to happen for East Mississippi. The Lions, they were just 4 of 13 on third downs, but in the red zone, they were a perfect 3 for 3, able to get on the board with 3 different scores. They finished with 324 yards of offense, 190 on the ground, 134 through the air. Meanwhile, for Hutch, the Blue Dragons, they had 322 yards of offense, 114 through the air, 208 on the ground. You think that would be good enough there for Hutch to get the win, but it is just a little bit short. Hutch was just 5 of 16 on third downs, and they won the possession battle 35 minutes to 25.
By a lot. Yeah.
By a lot. And they still fall a little bit short. Cam Wright, the hero, 91 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, all coming from Ty Keys, who had 80 passing yards going into the fourth quarter, and he finds a way to deliver in the big moments. East Mississippi moving on to Little Rock, Arkansas. On behalf of the entire crew, we thank you. Gary, thank you so much. I'm Pat Stropin saying so long from Gowans Stadium. East Mississippi back in the national championship game.